Hello, everybody. Welcome in. It is Hoopsville time, a smidge early if you're watching us live. Welcome in. I'm your host, Dave McHugh from the WBCA Studios. Thanks to our partners at D3Hoops.com. We'll get it out of the way quick. If you got questions for us, tweet us at D3Hoopsville, hashtag Hoopsville, email us, hoopsville at D3Sports.com. We're also on Threads, Facebook, Instagram. We'll try and follow those accounts, but the easiest ones when we're live are email and the tweets, because I can keep them up easier on my screens. But I'll do my best to try and follow along. Also, on the YouTube live stream, we are right there. We've got the chat in front of us. We will do our best to answer your questions there if we can. Welcome to the show. It was Super Bowl weekend, and it seemed appropriate that on Super Bowl weekend, a super team continues to win. Congratulations to the New York University Violets women's basketball team. Now the best ever when it comes to consecutive wins in Division III history. We got 82 now, and counting, as they got through what I consider the toughest stretch of their season. It doesn't mean the rest of the way won't be difficult as well. But right now, they've gotten through 82 games in totality, and 20 of them this season. So we give them a little bit of a round of applause for that effort. So the question becomes, will they get stopped? Who knows? But let's look back at what they did. Pat Coleman was there yesterday when the team decided to, my bad. Hold on. We're going to have to get back to that. I had issues before the show, and those issues resulted in me having to restart the system, and apparently I forgot to save where I thought I saved. I had saved, but just not where I thought I had saved. So bear with me a minute. We'll talk while I get some things dialed in. Again, NYU women can... absolutely incredible season. We'll talk. So let's talk about who's on the show. We'll start off actually in another UAA team. UChicago men's basketball will join us. Maybe wincing a little bit, as it were, as they're coming off of a loss to Emory in overtime on Sunday to pick up their second loss of the season. In conference play. But Mike McGrath and a player of his will be joining us. Eamonn, I can't remember how to say Eamonn's last name. I don't want to screw it up now, so I apologize now. We'll just get it out of the way later. He'll be joining us here in a bit to talk about the Maroons. Listen, they're back in the conversation, and I don't think that is something to sneeze at. And so we will talk to him, or them, really, about all of that, about what it means for UChicago to be in this position, so on and so forth. So they're coming up. Then we will talk to NYU's Meg Barber and Charline Peper on the record-breaking weekend, the stretch of games on the way. Of course, they broke this record on the road at Carnegie Mellon, who is their toughest opponent, it appears, in the UAA. Now, there will not be a UAA tournament, so they're done with them for now. But there's questions like, can they get to the next record, which is in D1, UConn's 90 wins? The other one, which is 101, will not be able to take place this season. But can they get to 90 and break that? And can they become the first ever program to win 3 national championships in a row undefeated? Good question there. To be honest, that is a really tough one to answer. We'll see what they have to say about that. And then we will talk to WPI men's basketball. Chris Bartley will join us to talk about his program. It's yo-yoed in the top 25. Then we'll head out to the West Coast to Claremont-Mudd-Scripps women's basketball. This is a program that was 10-15 last year, 4-21 the 2 previous seasons before that. They are 17-5 this year with Chanel Murchison at the helm. We'll talk to Coach Murchison about this squad. They got a big win over Whittier after losing to Cal Lutheran, playing back-to-back overtimes. They've played 4 overtimes in the last 7. They are 2-2 in those. They have lost 3 of their last 7 with the loss to Pomona, but they're still having a tremendous season. So we'll talk to her about all of that as well. So plenty ahead here on Hoopsville to talk about. And of course, I don't want to forget, we'll also talk to Union women's basketball. They're having a breakout season. Their men's team's having a good one too. But we'll talk to their women's coach here coming up. Trying to get this thing to work for me. There we go. We finally got the playlist the way we want it. So we're going to go show you how it ended for NYU and their celebration. Whoops, there was one thing I forgot to do. Apologize. This was all preset, and then it wasn't. You know how that works? So I forgot to do some work is what happened there. So if you got questions for us, send them our way. We would be happy to answer them along the way. Let's take a look at how NYU got the win. They were at the free throw line to end the game. Got an opportunity to ice it here. And what I found really interesting was not only did they not, they didn't make it, but look, turnover there in the backcourt, and NYU got it. They didn't need to score. Time was dwindling down anyway. They moved the ball around and then celebrated. And listen, for winning your 82nd straight and setting a record, this is somewhat of a muted celebration, to be honest. And maybe it's respect to Carnegie Mellon. I don't know for sure, but congrats to the team. I thought well deserved. And then they went into the stands and they had an NYU wins 82 banner. Probably, I don't know if it's a team banner or one of the families came along. I think Meg Barber's mom was in attendance from everything we've heard and I listened to in post-game interviews. So great celebration on the court, but then they really saved the best for last. They decided when you're going to see vertical video here, which is I loathe, but you can handle. Coming up here in a few seconds as the team continue to celebrate. Of course, there was a men's game following this. That's the wildest part. So NYU's men were out on the court congratulating the women as they were warming up. They've flipped it. Women now play first on Sundays. And here's the celebration in the locker room. Absolutely awesome. They got Meg after a slight delay, trying to throw her off the scent, as it were. And then they celebrated. Meg got up on top. Congratulations to the NYU women. So again, they're coming up. UChicago, then NYU, then WPI, then Union on a slam bam. Thank you, ma'am day. Dice Canton says, good morning, Dave. Once again, congratulations to NYU women's basketball on having the all-time consecutive win streak in D3. Continues nice view of fans seating in the Highmark Center on this video. When I watch Carnegie Mellon games on Flow College, I usually do not see this side of the court on the video stream. Yeah, it all depends on the camera angle, right? That's a whole nother topic we could get into. Understanding your camera angles. I had an experience at Goucher once where they had the logo set up, and I said to the athletics director, listen, if you, and this was a mentor of mine, Jeff Miller, if you guys ever strip the floor and have to put new paint down, for example, flip the logo. Your stream is coming from this other side. You want the logo to face the stream, yada, yada, yada. Fans are on the other side. It doesn't matter. I'm at Towson, it's flipped. I'm at Navy, it's flipped. I'm in a lot of places where the logo's flipped from my vantage point. It's about the cameras. And they did that. They stripped it down one year. They went to the new look on the floor and all of that, and they flipped the logo appropriately. I was ecstatic. And then the president decided to change the logo a year or two later, and so they stripped the floor again, and they flipped it back to the way it was the first time. I nearly lost my mind when I went into that gym the first time after that. I'm like, what are we doing? You guys had figured this out. Anyway, I digress. Coming up, like I said, we will have NYU women to talk all about it. Other top 25 men's, we're in for it on the men's side. Let's quickly run through it because we're going to be running out of time. This is why we started the show early. UChicago went 1-1 on the weekend. They were number one. They beat Rochester by 10, then lost to Emory by 3 in overtime. Mary Washington, I think, had the week we feared. We talked about it on Thursday, lost to Christopher Newport earlier in the week, 86-77, and then they faced Randolph-Macon on the road, and they lost to them by 11. Mary Wash is going to tumble, and they're going to tumble for a couple of reasons. First, it's 2 losses in a week in a semi-violent, not violent, but semi-tumultuous week in the top 25. This is also their biggest challenges. Voters are going to see that and go, okay, maybe Mary Washington is as good as we think. And so they're going to self-correct that team probably into the teens. So the Eagles flying high at 2. We had mentioned on the top 25 double take show that Coach probably wouldn't have been very happy with that ranking. Flying too high, well, they're going to take a tumble. Montclair State remains undefeated. I think it's going to be hard to argue them not to be number one at this point. They continue to win. They absolutely handled a subpar Ramapo squad and then handled supposedly a very good Stockton squad. I am leery of how good Stockton has been, as many have said, and they beat them 104-73, sending a message by 31. Even I, as a voter, am going to struggle not putting them number one now. Though I have Randolph-Macon number one, the question becomes, do I switch my vote or not? And I'll be honest with you, I'm not done voting, and that is one of my sticking points this week. St. Thomas, Trinity, Randolph-Macon, Emory, Gustavus all got through the week unscathed. Tufts lost to Amherst 65-62 and then handled Hamilton 102-71. That is Tufts' fourth loss of the season. They've now lost a couple in the last couple of weeks. Redlands, Mount Union, Christopher Newport, Claremont-Mudd-Scripps, Endicott, Hood, and Illinois Wesleyan got through the week unscathed, but the bottom third of the top 25 did not. Roanoke, as we mentioned on Wednesday, lost to W&L, but they at least got a solid win over Eastern Mennonite. Wesleyan got past Bates. Franklin and Marshall, as we mentioned on Thursday's show, lost to Ursinus, then beat Swarthmore. I don't know why. I'll be honest, don't know why anybody's voting for anybody in the Centennial. WashU lost twice. They're now 13-7. This conference schedule for WashU has been killer. I have not looked at MPI numbers. I am saying this without looking at MPI numbers and not listening to the Snyders recently. I've been very busy, unfortunately, and not been able to pull up their podcast. So I may be saying this out of turn, but I think WashU may have played themselves out of the tournament. And I could be dead wrong on that, folks. I just have this feeling they're going to have to right the ship to save the season, and I don't know if they've got the ability. Otterbein, Stevens Point, La Crosse all won. Trinity, Texas lost to Rhodes. I had that in my poll as such. Others did not. Then they beat Millsaps, and NYU got through the weekend unscathed, though they needed overtime to get past Carnegie Mellon. In the receiving votes category, it was losses aplenty. Oshkosh lost. Virginia Wesleyan lost. Hopkins lost to Gettysburg. I was at that game. Good teams, but not great. Not top 25 teams. But that was a thriller of a game. We showed it on Thursday's show, the winner there. They at least got past Ursinus at Hopkins the next time out. Whitewater lost. York lost twice to Alvernia and Hood. Drew lost to Elizabethtown. Scranton lost to Elizabethtown. Huh? Yeah, the landmark's just wild right now. Catholic at least got through the week unscathed. Bates lost twice to Trinity and Wesleyan. Both ranked higher, I get it, but Bates had a chance, couldn't do it, and the closest loss was by 11. Platteville and Brandeis also lost once this week. Winners, Maryville got through the week. WPI, Carthage, Rhodes, Whitworth, Cortland, Calvin, Catholic, Scranton, John Carroll, TCNJ, Grinnell, St. Joe, Connecticut, and Nebraska Wesleyan got through the week unscathed. On the women's side, NYU and Scranton remain undefeated. Oshkosh, as we mentioned on Thursday's show, suffered their first loss, but took out revenge on River Falls, 69-47. Hopkins got past Gettysburg in a dandy of a game we talked on Thursday, then beat up on Ursinus. W&L and Smith got through the week unscathed. Ohio Wesleyan, as we mentioned on Thursday's show, lost to John Carroll, but got past Wittenberg by 6. Bowdoin and Denison unscathed. Whitewater lost to Stout over the weekend after beating La Crosse earlier in the week. John Carroll, Bates, Hope, Baldwin-Wallace, WashU, and Carroll all got through okay. Chicago split the weekend, beating Rochester, losing to Emory. Illinois Wesleyan, Ripon, Trine, and Platteville went unscathed. La Crosse had a horrible week. They're now 13-8, lost to Whitewater and Platteville. Emory lost to WashU before beating Chicago. Wild week for the UAA in the women's side. Concordia, Moorhead got through the week unscathed. And Southern Maine, as we mentioned on Thursday's show, lost to Rhode Island and then beat up on Eastern Connecticut this weekend. Only 4 losses in the receiving votes category. Bridgewater lost to Randolph-Macon earlier in the week. Hardin-Simmons lost to Howard Payne in overtime on the weekend. Carnegie Mellon, as we just saw, lost to NYU after beating Brandeis by 2, and Linfield lost to Whitman in overtime. Cortland, SUNY New Paltz, William Patterson, Bethel, Cal-Lu, St. Mary, Shenandoah, Wartburg Co., Christopher Newport, and Susquehanna got through the weekend unscathed. Did you keep up with all that? I'm going to show this now so I don't forget it. This is how Do we have time? Yeah, I've got time here. This is how, let's see, what's the term I'm looking for here? This is how Case Western Reserve was able to get through the weekend unscathed, as it were. We have this from their stream. Apologies, I'm trying to, it's acting up. I've got a mouse that's either acting up on me or something else. I'm not really sure what, so I apologize. Trying to get this lined up for you. There we go. We can keep this up. That means we can do this and pull this up. This was how they finished their game against Whittier. Actually, I can't do that. Whittier this weekend in a dandy of a game. We'll watch it together. It started with them down 3, 5.5 seconds left. Check out this banker of a shot at the buzzer. Hit it. I don't know why we don't have audio from that. I apologize. Maybe it's my computer when I recorded it. But Claremont-Mudd-Scripps ties it at 54 to force overtime on a banker against Whittier. And then in overtime, they took over. Absolutely put on a clinic, scoring all 8 points. Whittier, I believe, was held scoreless. No, they scored a couple of points. I apologize. And Claremont-Mudd-Scripps ends up walking away with the win in women's basketball in a thriller. Absolutely awesome to watch that play out. Congratulations. And again, we'll talk to them coming up here on the show. So again, UChicago coming up. We'll talk to the men's program, Mike McGrath, and a player. NYU, it will be Meg Barber and Charline Peper. And WPI will be Chris Bartley. For Claremont-Mudd-Scripps, Chanel Murchison will join us. And for Union, we will talk to Katie Marcella. This is a team that was 13-13 last year, 12-15 the year before that, 10-15 the year before that. Last time they won 16 games, you got to go back to 2019. They're at 16-5 already. They're having their second best season in Liberty League play in program history, and there's still games to play. We'll talk to her about that. We'll also talk about that 3-game stretch in January where they lost twice, but seemingly have put that behind them, though they've done that twice this season. 3-game stretches sometimes are their struggle bus, as it were. Let's see. Dice Canton will quickly get your comments in here. WashU men have to win out this weekend, and even then, there's no guarantee they would be able to win the following weekend at either NYU or Brandeis. I agree. Dice, I think their season is essentially toast unless they somehow can resurrect it. If the Brandeis men lose next Friday in Atlanta, then the Judges must win in Rochester on Sunday to set up a final home weekend in Waltham on the 20th and 22nd of February. Since my friend Jerry Finkelstein is not able to take me to Brandeis and back on that weekend as he'll be on a cruise, I have booked my Uber rides for the ride home on the 20th and the round trip on the 22nd. Jerry gave me some money. Oh, Dice, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Glad you're going to be able to get to Brandeis. We love seeing you on the stream. Always a lot of fun. And, of course, always fun to see everybody in Division III that we can recognize on the web stream. Quick reminder, new Top 25s come out tonight, and that means the Top 25 Double Take Show tonight, 8:30 Eastern Time. Ryan Scott, Matt Snyder will join us from the men's side. Ryan will stay in the chair for the women's side and be joined by Scott Peterson. That is at 8:30. You must be a Hoopsville member, so go to buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville. That's buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville. If you're watching, we've got a QR code as well, but the website at the bottom. During our interviews, it'll be at the top. Sign up. Join us. Please help us continue our Division III. There's more perks involved. I also adjusted some of the price points for those groupings, and I promise you more things. I know it's been a hectic few weeks. I am hoping this week I can finally settle down. Also, a reminder, February 19th, a week from this Thursday, we will have a Top 16 show where we will talk about the Top 16, talk about games and conferences and all that to watch of teams who could enter the Top 16, who could move up into the 4, move up into the 8. That will all determine a lot of bracketing. And we'll talk to the committee chairs. If you've got a question for our committee chairs, email us, hoopsville@d3sports.com. That's hoopsville@d3sports.com. Let us know this is for the committee chairs. We will get those questions answered, we hope. We have to sometimes edit, or we reserve to edit. We will try and get your questions answered. Send them to us, hoopsville at d3sports.com. We'll be talking to both of them about a lot of the inner workings, too. What gets them into even starting the bracketing process? We'll talk to them coming up again on Thursday, the 19th. That is a 7 p.m. show. Otherwise, the rest of this month, we should be at 12 noon Eastern for every show, except for the Monday selection shows. Obviously, I got to figure out what we're doing. We haven't decided yet. I'm waiting on a couple of things to fall into place, and we'll decide what we're doing. Outside chance, listen, I'm not going to make promises. I don't want to go there. We'll take a break. When we come back, we start off our interviews with UChicago men's basketball. Playing good. They lost to Emory. They're licking their wounds a little bit. This UAA battle is an interesting one. We'll talk to Mike McGrath and others about it. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com. From the WBCA Studios.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
The National Association of Basketball Coaches is the nation's premier professional development and advocacy organization for basketball coaches at every level. The NABC strives to serve as the voice for coaches on national issues while advancing the core value of leadership, service, advocacy, education, and inclusion. To learn more about the NABC and to become a member, visit nabc.com and follow the NABC on social media at NABC1927. That's nabc.com or NABC1927 on social media.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
In any way that we can.
To get a friend home safe.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
To stand up.
To make our community safe for all.
It's on us.
It's on us to look out for each other at parties.
It's on us.
To be more than just a bystander.
To step up and say something.
It's on us, all of us.
To stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
If I lose, I'll respond with respect.
If I win, I'll back it up with humility.
If I fail, I'll rise up with honor.
It's tough for us to put it all on the line.
Don't undo my hard work with poor sportsmanship.
Respect. It's the name of the game.
Coach of the Year, Administrator of the Year, All-America Team, Wade Trophy. The WBCA doesn't just honor coaches, but players, administrators, and much more. The WBCA strives to honor those who have contributed to the advancement of women's basketball. Celebrate the present, honor the past, look to the future.
I used to never really talk, ever. I was afraid if I said something wrong, everyone would laugh at me. But then I started to play golf with Special Olympics. It helped me to find my voice. And now everyone else is speechless.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. Sorry, audio not working properly there. If you got questions for us, you can always tweet us at D3Hoopsville, hashtag Hoopsville, email us hoopsville@d3sports.com. Join us on Facebook and Instagram. All the information at the bottom of your screen if you're watching us live. Don't forget buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville, because literally I like my coffee, and that's a way you can help us. It's one of my favorite mugs, by the way, from a place in Vegas. Yeah, the mug's up purposely sideways, because usually when you show up there in Vegas, you might be. By the way, you might be wondering what all these packages are. We'll talk about them at the end of the show. I got to open them, and we'll talk about all that in a bit. UAA is going to top off our first two chats here, and we start out in Chicago in the Windy City, where you could probably describe the UAA men's race like the Windy City as the wind blows. It has changed. UChicago stays on top at 7-2. Emory 6-2. Remember, they got that game to make up in the last week of the season. NYU, Brandeis are 6-3. Then there's a drop-off. WashU, for example, is 3-6, but it's competitive as heck. Everybody's at 500 or above overall. UChicago had a tough weekend, going 1-1 this time, with Emory exacting some revenge with an overtime win over the Maroons, but doesn't mean they aren't playing really good basketball in the Windy City. So going to join us on the Hoopsville hotline is Mike McGrath, the head coach of the Maroons, and Eamonn Kenah, senior. I said forward our tweets. Guard, I guess. I mean, he looks like a forward to me, Mike. But guys, thanks for joining me. I certainly appreciate it. Mike, 17-3 this year, 7-2 in UAA play. A couple of years ago, if you and I were chatting, you would have been thrilled to be in this position, wouldn't you?
I'd be thrilled to be in this position at any time.
Yeah, fair.
When you have a team like we do, and you've fared as well as you have against the competition we've played so far, we're proud of what we've accomplished, and we feel like we have more to do. And anytime you're in that position, you feel pretty good about your team.
Yeah, I mean, really, this is a program that's, always been storied. I know you've always had pride in what this team can always accomplish. And this has been a build to this point. A couple of years ago, 10 and 15 seasons. I know you probably were a little frustrated with that. You've got the pieces, and now the UAA's come along with you. It was already a competitive conference. It feels like it's uber competitive now.
Yeah, I mean, over time, I forget how many years I've been at the University of Chicago now and in the UAA, but over 30, I think. And the league has just gotten better and better every year. The institutions have, worked hard to improve the athletic programs and invested in that. We're attractive schools. We're great academic institutions in great cities with great campuses. And as a result, we're all able to attract really good basketball players and athletes in other sports. And I think, it's an elite conference because of that.
You can look back at this past weekend. Again, good, solid win on Friday, but Sunday, Emory trips you guys up in an overtime game. Eamonn, interestingly enough, your hometown of Atlanta, that's got to be a kind of a double-edged one for you, because the program you probably were recruited by as well.
Yeah, very familiar with the Emory program. Obviously, it's super fun to always go home and play in front of friends and family. I always say, Emory's my favorite place to play in because of that. But also, how close it hits to home with how well I know Zim and a lot of guys on that team. It's always fun to go and compete. So,
yeah, and that's got to be the interesting thing, Eamonn. This is a conference that's unique in Division III. It's got a Division I side to it in the sense that it's spread out. There's travel. You're going to all these cities, maybe cities that you're from. Is that what attracted you to the conference, or were there other things that attracted you to this style of basketball?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's such a privilege to be able to fly around the country and go to these cool cities and play against, such high-level basketball teams. Basketball is, as high level as you're going to get, as, you can see by just watching that game yesterday. So I think it's just a combination of all those things that, made me come and choose this school. And obviously the coaching staff, I love Coach McGrath and all the guys here, who, in conversations with beforehand. I think it was a kind of a no-brainer.
Throw out the U.S. News and World Report. Throw out Wall Street Journal, everybody. Eamonn is telling us that UChicago's education is better than Emory's, and we will stick with that. That is a good endorsement, if I do say so myself. I'm biased. I'm from Chicago. I think Chicago's better than Atlanta. Anyway, Mike knows that well. Eamonn, quickly before we go talk more about this season, you're part of this kind of resurgence of Maroon basketball. You've seen the 10 and 15 season. You saw 18 and 8 last year. you've seen the loss in the NCAA tournament. You've seen this program build and grow. You've got to be pretty proud.
Oh yeah, super proud. I mean, obviously, we always felt like we had the talent and we had the tools since my freshman year. And, those first 2 years of my career, the amount of games that we felt like we lost by, one possession, where if one thing went differently, we, could have been at the top of the UAA. But, just keeping that in the back of our mind, keeping that feeling, knowing what it feels like and staying hungry. And what we were able to build to last year was pretty cool. Obviously a heartbreaking loss in the tournament. But like I said, keeping that feeling like we had a pretty good group coming back this year. And obviously the pieces that we added, that doesn't hurt. And what we've been able to do so far this year has been pretty cool, but obviously, there's more to do and the job's not finished. So.
Yeah, there's this guy from Wesleyan who might know a thing or two of the Final Four, Shane Reagan, who joined your program this year. 18.5 points, 4.5 rebounds. Certainly a big factor. What's that like, Eamonn, to adjust to? You get a guy who comes in who's from another program that had a spectacular year last year, and he immediately is this impact player. What's that like to adjust to have, et cetera?
Yeah, obviously it's an adjustment for everybody, but, Shane and Nick have been a pleasure to play with. Two guys that, you feel like you kind of just give the ball and, kind of just let them rock with it. But, the way that they've been able to fit into our offense and also what they bring defensively, and also just culture-wise, their voices are pretty loud, and how we're able to come together as a group, along with Joe Barry, who, kind of been my running mate the past few years. It's been pretty cool. It's been pretty cool to have, the group of us, along with the rest of the guys on our team. I think we've meshed pretty well. And honestly, I think, we still have, another level to get to.
Yeah, of course, Nick Roper coming in from Illinois Wesleyan, who you guys played in the third game. Before I get to that, Mike, your thoughts on getting two players of that caliber who decide to come for varying reasons, grad student, et cetera. That's the reasons to do their grad programs at UChicago. What's it like to get those guys, those conversations, and then to get them to be this big an integral part of the program?
Well, the first part was really pretty simple. There, when you talk to those guys, when we talked to Nick and Shane, the type of institution they were looking for, the type of experience they were looking for academically and basketball wise, and the opportunity to win a national championship were things that we had, and there aren't a lot of places that brought that together. And so, that was the recruiting process, I think, was pretty smooth. But we were, in terms of kind of transitioning them into our program and into our locker room, I was very intentional about how we communicated and how we talked. Eamonn and Joe were intimately involved in getting to know Nick and Shane before they talked to him more than I did, to be honest with you. And I was leaning on them to make sure I had a very positive feel for both of them. And in talking to Coach Riley and Coach Rose, who are people I really respect and know well, I had a pretty good feel for what I was getting with both of those guys. But I'm not in that locker room or on that bus or with the way these guys are. And Joe and Eamonn have built up a pretty special thing that we were anticipating a really great year. And if we were going to move these two guys into it, I had to have a lot of confidence that it could go well. And it has. And honestly, you have some growing pains, you figure some stuff out, but it honestly hasn't been that surprising. We got two high character guys. We have a high character group here, and they have similar goals, and it all kind of went together.
I appreciate that insight, because that was kind of where I was also thinking, like, how do you get things to gel that you don't break up this momentum and throw a curveball or throw, oiling on the vinegar or whatever it is to screw things up. So it's fascinating how it's come together. Let's talk about this season. You guys get off to 2 wins against UC Santa Cruz and Trinity, Texas at your place, and then juggernaut of a game in the third one. And for Roper return home, you guys go down to Bloomington, play Illinois Wesleyan in an early season highlight for everybody in Division III. Talk about a great game, Mike. But you guys come out of a loss, but it felt like you still came out with the win.
Oh, you might be the only person who feels that way.
Fair.
Nobody around here felt that way. No,
fair.
Here's how I felt. I've participated in 2 games that were really, really strange. There was we played Wash U here a couple of years back when Justin was really sick, and it was just an emotionally charged game that it was as bizarre bizarre might not be the right word, but as unusual as I've been a part of. And Nick going back down to Illinois Wesleyan had that a similar kind of bizarreness to it. It was just a strange vibe. But I walked out of that game devastated that we lost, as I think our players did, but recognizing that Eamonn talked about we have a different level to get to. We were just scratching the surface of what we were capable of in the third game of the year. I mean, we still have room to grow, a lot of room to grow. And, to go down in that environment in kind of an emotionally strange setting and, be right there at the end when we didn't feel like, even at that stage when we hadn't come together, we hadn't started clicking, we didn't think we played well for what we were capable of that time. And Wesleyan had a lot to do with that, don't get me wrong, but we didn't think we played well. And I walked out of that game and, I think Ron and I talked about it afterwards. I mean, I thought both of our teams were really good and anticipated being even better by the end of the year. And I think that's playing out to be true.
Hey, man, what was that game? And then after that, like the recovery from that game and getting back on the track, as it were, a win with Rhodes that came up after that. But your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we went into that game feeling pretty good after our first, two solid performances in the Midway Classic here. But obviously, they did things that game that were hard for us to deal with, as a group that was, still pretty new to playing together. And like Coach said, there was a certain level that we hadn't gotten to yet at that point. And the way we've grown since then, I mean, now, I mean, if we could go back and play that game now, I think it'd be a much different outcome. But obviously, like Coach said, credit to what they did. They're an unbelievable team. But just the feeling, after that game, we came together as a group the day after, and we talked about it and just like, hey, we're gonna be transparent with each other. We're gonna talk things through. And we're going to face stuff head on. If there's something that we feel like we could do differently or we could do better, then we're going to do it. And it's going to happen in practice. We got to come to practice approaching it every day. Like, this team could take away everything that we want. At the end goal, that's a national championship. But obviously we take it one day at a time. So, coming back from that game, I think we had a great week of practice. And then we went down to St. Louis and we had two games that, obviously that probably could have gone better for us, but the way that we came together and as a team and pulled those two out, we felt pretty good. And then obviously going forward from that, we went on a pretty large win streak after that. And I think that just goes to show, what that loss did for us.
Yeah, you went from November 19th to January 25th without a loss, went to Puerto Rico with wins over Susquehanna and Catholic, though games in Puerto Rico seem to disappear, so we're not really sure if they took place. We have box scores, so we're relying on the trust. Then you come back home, you get a big win over Wheaton, and then you get into conference play, and you guys were chugging along. NYU, Mike, NYU felt like an odd one. Like, I get maybe losing in conference play, right? This is a tough conference. But the result at home, 89-68, was it just one of those where they caught you on the wrong day and nothing wanted to work right?
I don't know if stuff wasn't working right on our end. I obviously felt like we could have played better, but man, everything seemed to be working right on their end. It was one of those games where they played exceptionally well, and they have a very talented team, and I thought they were clicking. And it was one of those games where they got off to a run, and I always felt like we were going to kind of dig our way back into it. And I think we went on like a 19-3 run and actually cut the lead to 10. With about 10 and a half minutes to go. And I was like, all right, I feel pretty good. And then over the last 10 minutes, and again, to NYU's credit and maybe to something we could have done a little bit better, but they had a kid make 4 3-pointers in the next 4 minutes who had made 6 all year. And we were having really good defensive possessions. And right when I thought we could turn the quarter and make it really interesting, they spread it out again. And it was just too much for us to overcome. They're a good team. And I thought they played incredibly well, and I think they deserve all the credit. I mean, 16-22 from 3 is pretty good.
Yeah, that was what I was 16 of 22, 72.7. They were 31-52 for the game at nearly 60%. They obviously shot incredibly well. Eamonn, what's it like to be in that kind of game? And as Mike was saying, you've got the capabilities, you've got the ability, and you have that run in them, but they're just lights out.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was a tough game for us. Missing Nick in that game was definitely tough. Obviously, I think, we have a good enough team to where, if one of our pieces falls down, where, we could pull out a win. But like Coach said, I mean, we came in that game feeling pretty good. Obviously, they shot 73% or something crazy from three. Obviously, we can't blame the loss entirely on that. There's stuff that we could have done to respond better. But we felt like we were turning the corner. Like at that one point when we cut it to 10, I was like, all right, I think we can get this done. Like Coach said, they came back and made some good plays. But yeah, obviously during that game, you feel, kind of suffocated. Like, I mean, there's not really much you could do about it at that point. But, at this point as a team, I think, we've learned more from a loss than from a win. So we moved on, and things were good after that. So
we're done learning though, Dave.
Yeah. I figured you were. Andrew Waldman, by the way, was the one off the bench, went 4 for 4. He's hit 11 on the season now, but seriously, that's insane. Yeah, no scouting report prepares you for that kind of thing. And then you do this Rochester Emory back and forth. You go 3-1, which by any stretch of the imagination, unless you're NYU women's basketball, that's not a bad stretch. 97-94 on the road, overtime loss. Licking the wounds a little bit, Mike, here. You've got 5 games left in the regular season. There's a lot to play for. Do you dare have that conversation about the importance of these games in the larger scheme of things? Or is it you keep this at a game-to-game basis and not try to overwhelm the thoughts?
I think what we've done all year is we've tried to we haven't been afraid to talk about what our basketball program at the University of Chicago is trying to accomplish. Our ambition is to compete for a national championship and to be in that race. That's our dream, and we work every day to try to make it a reality. As we're moving in that direction, you have to focus on what's right in front of you. And what's right in front of us is a game against Case Western this weekend, who just got a big win at home against Brandeis. Todd does a great job. They're very dangerous. We need to win that game. From a bigger picture standpoint, I don't know that we're talking about these 5 games and what it means towards our dream of winning a national championship. I think we're talking about we want to win a UA championship. That was the next step on this path for us. When we started the year, we mapped out these things that we felt like we could accomplish and wanted to accomplish. And the next one is winning the UAA. Obviously, pulling out that game on Sunday would have given us a little breathing room to do that we don't have anymore, but we're still in control of that. And these 5 games, that's what we want to come out of that. And then we can start looking at what that means for the NCAA tournament.
Got to let you guys go on for. Oh, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to jump in there real quick. You mentioned NYU's women, and I just wanted to say congratulations to them. I was around for that Nancy Fahey run, and I'd never thought I'd see a more dominant women's basketball team than they had. Nancy's group was amazing, and what they did during that stretch was phenomenal. And for NYU to surpass that is really, I never thought I'd live to see that. So congratulations to them.
Completely agree. Sadly, I was around too, and I never thought we'd see that thing ever again. It was amazing. UConn got them. Like that, I thought was spectacular. But the fact that NYU's done it, you agree? They're coming up next. Before I let you go, though, Eamonn, economics major. What are you hoping to do post grad? Is maybe playing professionally overseas or something else in your future, coaching or economics calling, and you'll do something there?
Yeah, I mean, it's always been a dream of mine to go play professionally. And I think that's on my list of things to do is I would love to go and keep playing overseas, when, before the wheels fall off, when I can, might as well do it for a few years. But yeah, business economics, obviously, great. The classes here are, top of the world. So, I think down the line, obviously, going to do something with that. There's plenty of people here that have everything figured out, have their kind of whole life mapped out. I'm not that guy, a little different in that way. But yeah, I'd love to go play overseas for a few years, feel that out. And then eventually, come back to the States and, get a real job, be a real person. So,
Eamonn, word of caution. I'm somewhat along.
Go ahead. Get work done here. First, obviously there's those things you don't do post grad, but right now, entirely focused on, like Coach said, UAA championship, national championship. We got business to get done here first. So that, that's on the back burner right now.
Oh, absolutely. Certainly. Just don't know if we'll talk to you between now and then. Just for the record, I'm somewhat like you. I didn't have everything mapped out. I'm just going to warn you now. At some point, map it out, or you'll be like me, where you're still mapping it out. Hey, guys, appreciate your time. Congrats on the season. Congrats on the run here. Really impressive. I really appreciate the time coming on the show as well. Mike knows this is a tradition, so I'll start with him, but Eamonn, heads up. We give our guests the final word. Any final thoughts you guys want to share with the crowd that may be watching? Mike, starting with you.
Yeah, I'd just like to say two things. One, I want to thank Eamonn and Joe and the guys in the basketball program. They're so incredibly committed and passionate about each other and this basketball program and being successful, that it's been a joy to coach them. And it's been a really fun year, and I'm eager for that to keep going, because it's what they put into this is really second to none. The second thing I'd like to say, and for those of you out there, and Dave, you preach this as much as anybody, this is the college basketball that I fell in love with as a kid. What I saw yesterday at Emory, the effort that Jair and Ben and AJ and those guys put into that game, the passion they played with it, the passion that our guys played with it, the caliber of play. These are young men, and this is true at Randolph-Macon and St. Thomas and Montclair and Trinity and Wesleyan and all these, Illinois Wesleyan, all these places. If you're a fan of college basketball and kids who passionately play the game for each other and for their schools and to be successful, it's a lot of fun, and I'm proud to be part of it.
Well said, Mike. Well said. I might clip that for an ad later. Eamonn, your final thoughts.
I guess, first of all, Dave, thanks for having us. Great to talk to you. I guess for me, it's just, the support that we've had here on campus from our students and our faculty and our administrators has been pretty awesome. I'm not sure if they're going to tune into this, but just, thanks for that. And, they're a big part of our home atmosphere. And I hope they keep coming out, as we progress in the season. And then, like Coach said, we're working hard here, and we have big goals, and we're going to keep at it. So
everybody from UChicago watches this show. You should see the numbers. They're incredible. Hey, guys, thanks for your time. Good luck the rest of the season, and getting over this one. I know will be tough, but Case Western Carnegie at home coming up. Enjoy the home atmosphere, and we'll look forward to catching up with you down the road.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Mike and Eamonn joining us from UChicago men's basketball. Those 2 home games are their final 2 home games. Then their final 3 will be on the road. Quick note in the latest NPI numbers, if they're accurate, Matt Snyder's got some interesting points. We'll talk to him maybe tonight about they're sitting in 3rd. We'll take a break. When we come back, we keep up the UAA theme. No, it's not sponsored. NYU Women's joins us to talk about winning 82 in a row. You listen to Hoopsville, presented by DIII Hoops in the WBCA Studios.
For the love of the game. But for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that, a lot more.
Sure, the game is important, but as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics, and in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
You can make a difference.
We are the coaches of women's basketball. We are leaders and teachers, dreamers and winners. We are professionals who conduct ourselves ethically and with integrity. We place the education, safety, and well-being of the athletes we coach above all else, and teach them the fundamental values they need to succeed in life. We are coaches united for the good of our game and those who play it. We are the WBCA.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.D3Hoops.com.
The National Association of Basketball Coaches is the nation's premier professional development and advocacy organization for basketball coaches at every level. The NABC strives to serve as the voice for coaches on national issues, while advancing the core value of leadership, service, advocacy, education, and inclusion. To learn more about the NABC and to become a member, visit NABC.com and follow the NABC on social media at NABC 1927. That's NABC.com or NABC 1927 on social media. Cutting the interview or the segment off. We're just going to get going here. I will tweet out in a bit here as well. 82 straight wins. Mike McGrath said it in the last segment. You know, we saw Wash U women's basketball in the day, and that feels weird to say, win 81 in a row. Never thought anybody would accomplish such a thing ever again. Of course, UConn women went on to win 90 and 101, which is unfathomable to begin with. But listen, Gino and Auriemma and that team and their schedule and all of that, it can happen. But on the women's side in D3, never thought we'd see it. The irony that it's been done with a coach who was on the receiving end of that, which we have talked about in the past, is amazing. But the fact that it's happened is amazing. The fact that this could continue to be rewritten every single game from here on out, even more spectacular. To talk about an absolutely record-breaking weekend and a record-breaking 3 years. On the Hoopsville Hotline, joining us is Meg Barber, head coach of the NYU Women's Violets, and Charline Peper, who's been there for this entire run as well. Both of you ladies, thanks for taking the time to join us. Congratulations on a spectacular record.
Thanks for having us, Dave.
Absolutely. Meg, you and I have talked about this. This dates back to, what was it, a quarterfinal loss to Transylvania on their way to a national championship. You literally put a chip on your shoulders, came out the next year and decimated teams, including Transylvania, on your way to your first title. And you all have not looked back. At any point, did you suspect it could get to 82?
It's not something we thought about. Certainly, you know, last year there was a lot of talk of, could you go undefeated again? And winning the national championship last year back-to-back felt like an insane accomplishment for this group. And, you know, we look more towards, you know, championships and our ability to get in the NCAA tournament and try to make a run than we certainly do talk about streaks in this program. With so many new faces and new roles this year and kind of having to reinvent ourselves again, it's just never something that our staff or, you know, I don't think most of the team really has thought about. Certainly taking on the first half of UAA play, you know, it's a gauntlet. So it just was never something that was even on my radar. And then when we made it through the first round of UAAs, all of a sudden we were staring, you know, the next weekend in the face. And I think that the last 2 weekends, it kind of hit a little bit differently for this team.
I had said on this show for weeks, I thought this 6-game stretch you just finished was going to be the toughest. One, because Wash U going to have your number because they wanted to go after you, did not have you break their own record. Chicago's a trap game. And then you've got Case and Carnegie in back-to-back weekends with a really stinking good Carnegie team. This is dangerous, and it nearly happened the previous weekend, Charline. Did you all talk about it in the same way? I know it's game by game, but did you all understand that this was going to probably be the toughest stretch?
I think for us as players, I think that we knew it was going to be the toughest stretch, and at least for the upperclassmen, it was being able to tell the freshmen that it was going to be exactly that. And I think after even Rochester Emory and even Brandeis, like they finally understood what it's like to play in the conference. And I think especially because of Carnegie last week, with how they performed and how we performed, that we knew that this was a game that we were also going to have to come ready to play. And I think we were all really ready in the locker room.
Meg, it's almost like, I don't know, Carnegie, close call last weekend, warned you, hey, this could happen. So you prepare for it, right? You're more focused on it, even though it's the second game of the weekend. For them, it's like, oh, we can beat them. So it's almost cancels each other out to some degree. But how does it make Case Western game a little trickier because you don't want to be cheating ahead, right?
Yeah, no. I mean, our this so-called streak has been built on stacking 1-0 games and stacking 2-0 weekends. So, I mean, there was no talk at all of, playing Carnegie on Sunday. It was full focus was on Case Western on Friday night. I mean, besides, they've lost so many close games in this league, and they've been up on WashU at half. They've been up on Chicago at half. They've been up on pretty much every team in the league at halftime. So we knew, in very different styles between Case and Carnegie. Case is, known for being an excellent 3-point shooting team and really spreading the floor. And then you have to flip that and turn around and play, much larger, more physical Carnegie game on Sunday. So, we just had to shift gears really quickly after Case to try and prepare in the day in between to get ready for Carnegie.
Obviously, coming into this, it was interesting. I talked Gettysburg last year in the Elite Eight had been kind of your closest game kind of in a while. You guys were walking over teams, 114-35, 112-40, 114-34. You can get a little complacent. I mean, even in January, 118-52. But since you got into UAA play, Meg, we haven't seen 118s. We've saw 93 twice, but you've had a very different style of game. Did you have to get anybody prepared for that, or was it a well-known fact that the first half of the season literally meant nothing for what you're about to go through?
Well, we've been preparing for that, 2024, 2025, those years, we did not prepare for close games. We do time score. We have really intense and competitive practices between, we have different, we mix up our rosters and force each other to play against different things. So I think we try to prepare for just being our best, no matter what the scoreboard says. And I'm not a scoreboard person. To me, a 30-point win can be really ugly, and a 5-point win can be great. So I think, the biggest key is just getting our team in the best position possible. We've called it, last year we started calling it new math, because we would win by 15 or 18 and people would ask us what was wrong. And I think a little bit, even with this year's team, we're feeling that a little bit too. Like, we play at Wash and win by, we're up 20. We end up winning by, I think, 13, 14, maybe 12. And people are asking us what happened. And what happened is you're playing WashU at WashU. It's a great team. It's a really well-coached team. We have amazing coaches in this league across the board. And I think we're getting, a lot of teams that saw us last year in this league and had to play us twice. We're a little bit similar style to what we were doing last year. So we have a lot of coaches that were more prepared for it and have thrown a lot of different things at us to try and either slow us down or speed us up or just give us different looks. And, we welcome it. It's made me a better coach, having to coach against the coaches in this league. And it's made our team better, having to, prepare for each of these teams night in and night out. And you really can't take anybody for granted. But a 1-point win wasn't yet on our resume for this streak. So we checked that off. And I was really, really proud. I thought we really grew up last weekend, having to execute down the stretch and, prove that we could hang in a tight game and execute on both ends of the floor.
I'm just imagining this bingo card at the scorer's table or on the bench. All right, so we got that one done now. Next, Caroline, you've been there through this run. As a player, how do you stay focused, not get distracted with friends, other athletes, opponents, media, and all these others constantly talking as the number increases about will they lose and all that? How do you keep focused as a person, as an athlete, but also as a team on not getting distracted by all that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I would say our coaching staff does a really great job making sure that we're really focused on the game ahead, and really that's it. But aside from, being on the court, we also are super busy outside of basketball. So our academics is honestly its own little distraction from all the noise. And so we have a lot of things to do off the court as well. So I don't think that we really pay attention. We're really nose in the books. So
fair. I mean, as we just talked to Eamonn over there at UChicago, you guys are all kind of a bit busy. We should point out, Caroline, mathematics at the College of Arts and Science. Can you just give us a quick synopsis of what a day in your life kind of is like with classes?
Yeah, so actually this semester I don't have classes till late in the evening. So
nice.
Today I have 2 classes. Tonight I have combinatorics at 4:55 to 6:15, and then a 6:20 class, mathematics finance, till 7:35. And then we have practice like 1 o'clock to like 3:45 today with lift and practice. And then I have a couple other classes the rest of the week.
Yeah, we're sneaking this in before they go to practice. Not bad. I like that schedule. Meg, do you like the afternoon, getting forced into afternoon practices?
Yeah, I mean, we work around a lot of different schedules.
Fair.
And our upperclassmen just kind of let the staff know what they have to take and what we have to try to make work, and we find a way. We have a starter entering practice late on Thursdays and another one leaving early, and we try to figure out ways to make it work for everybody, and obviously academics is a priority. So
I'm going to snip that. I'm going to snip what Mike said. I've got the perfect YD3 ad. This is perfect. Quickly ahead. The next record, technically, let's be honest, is 90. It's UConn for number 2. That would happen halfway through an NCAA tournament if it were to happen, Meg. I know what the answer is going to be, but I'm by decree, having sworn to be a media person, required to ask said question. How do you keep focused to try and win 90?
The same way, it started by win number 1, and locking into this team's strengths and looking at our opponent and how best we can prepare this group. People keep talking about this record being so long since it's been broken, and it phases me differently, Dave, because I was playing against it. So
yes, you were.
All it's doing is aging me. It feels like, well, yeah, this happens. Like I just played against it, right?
3 years ago, Meg.
Yeah, 5 years ago. But it just, we don't coach in this profession. We don't play to have streaks. It really is to just be at our best and, compete and give each other everything we have. And this group wildly is achieving in that sense. So I'm really, really proud. I hate losing. I do hate losing. I will admit that, but it's not a fear in this program of losing. It's approaching each game and just trying to go into it with the same mindset that we, did from win number 1 when we first started this.
I know you got practice coming up, so I'll wrap up. Caroline, a question for you, though. You've hit this 82. How do you now all focus to not let down? Like, this number has been on your radar at least this season, if not last season. You're all focused on it. You know where it is. Everyone's talking about it. You've now hit it. You've now eclipsed it. How do you keep going and not kind of lull off, if that makes any sense?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's more of a relief at this point. I think we felt like there was a lot more pressure on our shoulders to actually break it. And now that we have, at this point, it's like on to the next thing. And we always talk that, especially for this team, and this streak doesn't define us. What really defines us is what we do in practice, the work we put in, and ultimately accomplishing the things that we want to accomplish this season, starting with the UAA championship.
Meg, we've talked about it before. Now that you've broken the record, though, I'm still kind of curious. What's the dichotomy like to have played against that 81-win Wash U juggernaut who went on to win so many national titles in a row, though not all undefeated, and now be on the other side of it, having coached a program that is that juggernaut, facing the same type of teams? What's that like?
It's way better on this side.
I'm sure.
It's way better. And I think as a coach, it's very different from being a player, even though we're all in this together. I think, when you're playing, and it's very different to like not have a good day. And I think the string that sort of ties both of these together is upholding a standard of excellence and bringing the right people into your program. And I can't speak for the WashU program, but we just have tremendous people in this program and a group that's very selfless. We have a lot of players that don't show up in the stats that contribute just as much as Caroline and down from the next. So we just have an incredible group of people, and I think you win with people, and that's what we're going to continue to focus on here. And I'm just really happy to see NYU's place in the record books from having the trauma of having to play against the WashU streak year after year after year. So our alumni group chat was pretty hyped yesterday. So I kind of got to be more on the alumni side, than just the coach of this program. But it certainly was fun.
I think I still hear your phone going off.
Yeah, probably.
Caroline, quick note. I saw you hit a career-high 37 points against Gettysburg in the Elite Eight last year. You've made that seem like average. Just give me a taste of how your career has been with NYU.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the lone senior. There's been,
scary fact
here and there, but nothing's really stuck. And so I think I was really fortunate to have, again, such a great group of girls that the coaches recruited. And it started from like when I was a freshman all the way up to now my senior year, where, there might be a huge age gap between me and the freshmen, but they are honestly my best friends. And I think really for me, it is just the people along the way, aside from all of the athletic components of it. I've had a great career and hope to continue, but it's really just, I really met my best friends here.
Jeff Bernstein's going to start yelling at me. Meg as well. Quickly, Meg, though, no team has won 3 national championships undefeated. Thoughts?
Dave, where we find these stats are not things I think about.
Just things we find. NCAA points out. I don't know, just little things.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have imagined we'd be having a talk about this. So I just feel really grateful for the people we have, and we're going to keep taking it one game at a time and, push ourselves and grow ourselves and hope to be in the best position possible. I think if you can make the Final Four, anybody has a shot, and our goal is to get back there, and we don't, hide from that. And, hopefully along the way, if we can get after it this weekend, we have 2 really tough weekends ahead of us. The UA championship is on our radar, and that's a really big goal for our program. And I think represents, especially this year in our league, it's just it from top to bottom, it's unbelievably full of talent and really great coaching. So to get through that is going to be a bit of a gauntlet, but that's up next.
Well, I appreciate the time and humoring me and squeezing this in before practice. Quickly, we'll let you go. Caroline, we'll give you this on the second because Meg knows this tradition. We give the guests the final word. Any final thoughts you two ladies would like to share with all those either NYU or D3 Hoops fans watching?
Go ahead, Pep.
Well, I only must say 2 words, just roll Violets.
Well, good use of your time.
There you go.
Meg, any final thoughts?
Thanks so much, Dave.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your time. Good luck at practice in just a few minutes.
Yeah.
And we'll look forward to catching up with you. Good luck the rest of the season. Congratulations. Spectacular, Meg. I've thought that for a long time. Good luck the rest of the way. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.
Meg Barber Charline Peper joining us here on the Hoopsville Hotline. Great to chat with them, squeezing that in on a busy day for them, having gotten home from the trip this weekend. They're on the road next weekend, Rochester Emory, and then they're home against Chicago and Brandeis to wrap up the season. We'll take a break when we come back. Remember that one of those games is a makeup. What was I trying to squeeze in here? Oh, yeah. When we come back, WPI men's basketball joins us on the Hoopsville Hotline. We'll be back with so much more in a jam-packed show on a Monday.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
In any way that we can.
To get a friend home safe.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
To stand up.
To make our community safe for all. It's on us.
It's on us to look out for each other at parties.
It's on us.
To be more than just a bystander.
To step up and say something.
It's on us. All of us.
To stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
Comprehensive learning is being able to adapt to experiences and apply the things that I learned. Being an athlete and juggling academics helped me grow as a person and things that I've learned, I was able to apply it in another field, putting them into everyday life. Developing comprehensive learning helped me prioritize certain things to make sure I get to where I want to be.
For the love of the game. But for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that, a lot more.
Sure, the game is important, but as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics, and in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
You can make a difference.
We are the coaches of women's basketball. We are leaders and teachers, dreamers and winners. We are professionals who conduct ourselves ethically and with integrity. We place the education, safety, and well-being of the athletes we coach above all else and teach them the fundamental values they need to succeed in life. We are coaches united for the good of our game and those who play it. We are the WBCA.
I learned a lot of valuable lessons playing college football. I never thought about the health benefits of exercise until I actually started to talk to coaches in college. It's not only just for performance, it's for life. My coaches instilled the importance of well-being, not only building up strength, mental health, getting enough sleep, eating properly is all what it is to be healthy. I decided that I want to go into personal trainer and share my knowledge that I obtained in college about physical and mental well-being.
We are calling you, all of you. We are calling all Division III schools to join our cause.
It's on us to start the change. It's on us to be the change. It's on us. It's on Division III. It's on all of us to stop sexual assault.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
In any way that we can.
To get a friend home safe.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
To stand up.
To make our community safe for all.
It's on us.
It's on us to look out for each other at parties.
It's on us.
To be more than just a bystander.
To step up and say something.
It's on us, all of us.
To stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com. Welcome back to Hoopsville. I got to update that ad. We got so much great video to add to that, though it's a good one. I like it. If you've got questions for us, tweet us at D3Hoopsville, hashtag Hoopsville, email us hoopsville@d3sports.com. Had some great conversation. Dice Canton certainly enjoyed our conversation with the NYU women. Appreciate them sneaking in that conversation before their practice time. Going to switch gears now. By the way, interesting enough, we're hitting the 3 big cities on this show. Totally unintended. Chicago and New York, and we're going to be talking to LA later in the program. But right now we're outside Boston, where they're licking their wounds, not because of what their program's doing, but the Super Bowl didn't go exactly the Patriots' way. Just chatting with Chris Bartley about all that. But WPI, men's basketball's yo-yoed a little bit in the top 25, but they're playing in what I would say is a fascinating NUMAC race this year. They've got Babson nipping at their heels. Salve Regina, who we've had on the show, has looked pretty good. Wheaton has kind of come out of nowhere to be a bit of a thorn in the side. What does it all mean for WPI, their hopes of postseason play, and
all the stuff that goes in between. Joining us on the Hoopsville Hotline, our good friend Chris Bartley joins us to talk about his Engineers. Coach, first and foremost, thank you for taking the time, and sorry about last night.
That's okay. You know, we've got 6 of them under our belt, so we don't mind giving away another one.
Yeah, even as a Bears fan, I realize our one win means nothing to your 6.
Yeah, no, it's been a fun year out here football wise with Vrabel taking over and sort of bringing the Pats back, and this has become like a real football area, since the Pats dynasty with Belichick. So, but it's great to be on, and it's been a little bit of a wild ride for us. We've we're 17-4. I think we've weathered a lot of storms. Sitting at 10-2 in the conference, we're proud of that, and it's just going to boil down to, I think, like everybody else, we're trying to finish strong. And we've got, I think, 4 conference games left, and that'll be obviously determine sort of where we're at as we enter the conference tournament.
Yeah, interesting season. 4 losses, a 4-point loss to Keene back in Thanksgiving time period. Tufts beat you by 18 at the start of January. Of course, that was a Tufts team that was unstoppable at that point. Salve tripped you up by 4 in mid-January, and then the end of January, Clark got you by 10. A Clark team that you had only beaten by 4 at their place, you lose by 10 at home. And then, by the way, last game out, you beat Salve Regina by 12. Let's start with the NUMAC side of this. This feels not abnormal in terms of competitiveness. We're used to Babson and Springfield and all these competitive teams, but we're seeing some old guard kind of come back to form a little bit. What's this conference race been like this year?
Well, for us, I think we've won the conference regular season like 4 times in a row, and so every game we've got a bullseye, on us for sure. And I think there's a lot of I think experience in this league this year, and then there's been some really good freshmen that have entered the conference, as well as some transfers that have made I think risen the conference, because we graduated a lot last year. And for us personally, we had a sort of a magical season last year. I mean, I think we ended up 26-4, went to the Sweet 16, and it's kind of one of those years where we didn't have many injuries. We just everything kind of fit well. And I explained to our guys at the beginning of this season, you can't replicate.
Murchison, who's been there with you guys a couple of years, has been integral. Murchison, who's been there with you guys a couple of years, has been integral, but so has Newman and Morvillo and Patterson. Tell us a little bit about this squad. You talk about what you lost, but you got guys there who've really been with the program through thick and thin, and want to keep the Engineers relevant.
Yeah, we've got a great balance between the returning guys that have quite a bit of experience, but then we do have this huge crop of young guys, and watching our older guys mentor our younger guys is something that you just kind of feel proud about when you see it. It's not something that we talk about a ton, but I think it's just part of the culture and the fabric of our program as our older guys embracing the young guys and helping them along the way. And we don't have a ton of freshmen playing a ton of minutes for us. We have a couple, so we really are relying on our older guys, and but they're all in new roles. Like Timmy, has been great. We didn't know we were going to get him back. He had a shoulder medical redshirt year, his first year, and then he had a great job lined up, and they allowed him to come back and get his master's, and they kept his job for him when he graduates. And we got Murchison back late in the summer when he decided to come back. So the key guys have really been, I think, those guys. JR has always been like a great defensive player for us. And, he brings it every day. He struggled a little bit offensively this year, but we've had a really good resurgence and I think growth of our junior class with Justin Molin, Nathan Bledsoe, and Jack Blyer have given us big lifts. So, those guys playing together, I think we got 4 guys averaging double figures, just kind of figuring it out game to game. We've won a lot of close games. We've been in a lot of kind of interesting situations where we've looked kind of dead and buried in some games and come back and won. We've also had some big leads and given them up and then escaped with wins. But through it all, from the Keene State game, we lost at Keene, and they got a lot of good players. Tufts, as you mentioned, is loaded. And then Salve, they've had a great year. What a job Sean Foster has done with them. And they just entered our league a couple years ago. So he's done a great job. They got 3 transfers that have been terrific. And then, Clark right down the street from us, is probably one of the biggest and more athletic teams, that you're going to find. So there's good balance in this league. And, we're going to have to play well to finish this thing out the right way.
By the way, Bledsoe, to any of you fans out there, no, not related as I'm aware to the Bledsoe who gave way to Tom Brady. He's from San Antonio by way of Cushing Academy there in Ashburn. I can never say that one. That's the one Massachusetts town I actually struggle with. Good school there, by the way, at Cushing, northwest of you guys in Massachusetts. Yeah, it's interesting. There's nothing that jumps out. Like when I try and dive into stats to try and understand a team better, not that that's our make or break, but you can kind of pick things up, right? You're outscoring your opponents by 10. You're out rebounding your opponents by 1.5, maybe 2. You guys aren't shooting spectacular. They're not shooting bad. There's nothing that jumps out. 3-point defense certainly jumps out. I think it's 24/7. Sorry, that didn't sound right. 0.247 is the percentage you're only allowing in terms of 3-point shooting. That is certainly spectacular, but there's nothing else that jumps out. So when we talk WPI basketball, you talked a little bit about the guys, but what's stirring the drink right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's balance. I think that's important. I think from our standpoint, you have to be good defensively and offensively. I don't think we're maybe great at anything, but hopefully we're good at a lot of stuff. And, I think what I've seen from our team is when we've gotten into really difficult situations, we've had, I think, the mental toughness and the fortitude to come through. And I think part of that is we have experience, and we have experience at the guard spots, which I think is, obviously really, really important. But we're not the biggest. We're not the most athletic. We're not the prettiest. But I think, our guys appreciate the tradition that we've built here. We had our alumni game and alumni day on Saturday, and they appreciate seeing those guys from our very first recruiting class way back in 2001 to now. And, the fact that, we've won a lot of championships, we've won a lot of basketball games, and we've sort of had a formula of, just being gritty, being well prepared, and getting, competitive people with competitive stamina, has been, I think, a telltale sign of the program. And I think I see it with this group as well.
You play 8 guys pretty consistently, and you've got 4 in double figures in Bledsoe, Mullen, Reedy, and Newman, respectfully 15-3, 14-7, 13-0, 10-1. So that's certainly significant. You're going to have to guard somebody. You can't just be lazy off of anybody. And, of course, the rest of the guys are going to find a way to score too. When you look at what's ahead, you're coming off the loss last week, or somewhat, to Clark, and you've got Coast Guard, MIT, Emerson, and Wheaton ahead. So far, Wheaton's 14-7, 7-5. Coast Guard and MIT and Emerson are in the bottom of the conference, but you can't overlook them either. How do you get? What are you guys specifically focusing on as you get to the end of this run?
Yeah, I think for us, I mean, we're focusing on our self-improvement a lot. I think, our conference is great because you got to play everyone twice. There's nowhere to hide. And, some of those teams that you mentioned, we had a really tough game at Coast Guard. We had a tough game with MIT here, so and Wheaton, we had a really tough game there. So, every game, every team poses challenges, and every team's a little bit different. Matchups are what it's really all about. So for us, we don't have to spend as much time preparing for the opponent because we've played them already. So we got to really spend a lot of time, watching ourselves and figuring out, what can we do better? And, that's what I think is a challenge right now this time of year is, keeping it fresh, keeping it fun, but trying to get better at the same time, trying to tighten things up as far as like, being efficient with your time, because we do have a long season here and, we want to keep this thing going. So, I think that's what all of us as coaches are trying to balance right now is, how much to do and, how much rest to give guys, that kind of thing. So it's it's an inexact science, but that's what makes it fun.
Well, and you're also, this is a high academic institution. It's an engineering type play. I mean, they're not called the engineers for nothing. It's not, WPI standing for Institute for nothing. So you're balancing that, right? You're balancing these guys who have heavy academic workloads.
Yeah, I mean, you got the true student athlete. I think, that permeates through Division III for the most part. But, I think especially at a place like ours, whether our guys are majoring in business, or they're majoring in engineering, it's very project-based here. So they're doing a lot of group work, a lot of teamwork, and a lot of that is outside of class time. So a typical thing for our guys is to get out of practice, go grab something to eat, and then they've got a group project meeting, at night. So, they balance it well, and you have to recruit the right type of guys from the right type of families, for sure. But, they get into a rhythm. They're only taking 3 classes at once here too. So, there is this ability to, I think, manage your time. Once you learn that, it kind of unlocks everything else. But we got gym rats here. I mean, these kids are in the gym wanting to get better. And, in order to do that, you got to have priorities. And I'm really, really proud. And I respect our guys so much for, making the academics a priority, but certainly making basketball a priority.
Well, Chris, I appreciate the time as always. Appreciate the insight and getting to know your program as always a little bit better. Maybe we could have timed this better so you didn't have to come on after the Super Bowl, but I appreciate it nonetheless. As always, we give the guests the final word, though. Any final thoughts you want to share with those tuned in?
I just want to wish all the student athletes at Division III the best, and especially men's and women's basketball players as we get towards the end of our season. As I was saying, I respect so much what I see our guys do on a daily basis, and as well as our women's program here. So, just to all the athletes out there, thank you because you're what makes this thing go. And thank you too, Dave, for everything that you do for D3 hoops. And, I don't think we'd be where we're at, as a Division III level without your work. So thank you so much.
Well, thanks, Chris. I appreciate the kind words. Good luck the rest of the way. Good luck in the conference tournament, especially as you guys try and punch your ticket to yet another NCAA tournament. And we'll look forward to catching up with you down the road.
All right. Thanks, brother. Go Bears.
Yeah, I like you. Chris Bartley joining us on the Hoopsville Hotline. Appreciate his time. Quick note, his graduates and seniors, just to give you a sense of academics, management engineering, business analytics, data science, biomedical engineering, civil engineering. 5 guys, 5 different majors. That's not diverse. A lot of times you run into a program where 3/4 of the guys are all the same major. Not in the case of WPI. By the way, shout out to Rusty. Ashburnham. That's what I thought it was. Ashburnham. By the way, he said Cushing at Cheshire on Friday night, number 1 versus number 3 in the NEPSAC AA standings. For the record, I only worry about the high end. I believe that's where my alma mater is. That's live sports information. Right? Yep, the Chris Bartley pointing out that's live info from Rusty. That Rusty's good. Rusty's really good. We'll take a break. When we come back, we head out to L.A. Claremont-Mudd-Scripps women's basketball. The Athenas using a last-second shot to force overtime and stay atop the conference standings. We talked to their head coach about their recent success. Coming up on Hoopsville.
It's on us to stop sexual assault
in any way that we can.
To get a friend home safe.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
to stand up.
To make our community safe for all.
It's on us.
It's on us to look out for each other at parties.
It's on us.
To be more than just a bystander.
To step up and say something.
It's on us, all of us.
To stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
Comprehensive learning is being able to adapt to experiences and apply the things that I learned. Being an athlete and juggling academics helped me grow as a person, and things that I've learned, I was able to apply it in another field, putting them into everyday life. Developing comprehensive learning helped me prioritize certain things to make sure I get to where I want to be.
For the love of the game. But for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that, a lot more.
Sure, the game is important, but as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics. And in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
You can make a difference.
We are the coaches of women's basketball. We are leaders and teachers, dreamers and winners. We are professionals who conduct ourselves ethically and with integrity. We place the education, safety, and well-being of the athletes we coach above all else and teach them the fundamental values they need to succeed in life. We are coaches united for the good of our game and those who play it. We are the WBCA.
I learned a lot of valuable lessons playing college football. I never thought about the health benefits of exercise until I actually started to talk to coaches in college. It's not only just for performance, it's for life. My coaches instilled the importance of well-being, not only building up strength, mental health, getting enough sleep, eating properly is all what it is to be healthy. I decided that I want to go on a personal trainer and share my knowledge that I obtained in college about physical and mental well-being.
We are calling you, all of you. We are calling all Division III schools to join our cause.
It's on us to start the change. It's on us to be the change. It's on us. It's on Division III. It's on all of us to stop sexual assault.
Unmute the microphone, Dave McHugh. Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. Hope you're enjoying the show. We are rolling along on this Monday on a slightly longer than normal show. We've already talked to 2 major cities in the United States. We talked to UChicago men's basketball and NYU women's basketball. And I was not thinking this through, but I have hit the 3rd as we're out in LA now to talk SCIAC women's basketball. I was sitting here this morning on having my cup of coffee going, oh, well, I'll be darned. No, we did not get St. Thomas basketball on here to hit Houston to be number 4. That would have been pretty fun. I am working on, I'm an Olympics geek. I am working on a really wild idea of trying to get some schools on that have some Olympic representation. The problem is so many of Division III schools' representation is in ice hockey with D1 programs. We'll figure it out. You got questions for us? The information's at the bottom of your screen. Don't forget, buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville also to help support our work and to get more information for us. And I'll just shamelessly throw an applause for all of you who have been helping us at buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville. Tonight, top 25 double take for those of you who are Hoopsville members. All right, well, I said we're out in L.A. Let's talk about L.A. Women's basketball out there. The SCIAC race is certainly one to keep an eye on because you never know. I mean, Whittier came out of nowhere last year, right, to suddenly be in the conference race. They're struggling this year at 10-11. No surprise. They lost so much good talent. And 5-8. But it's a two-horse race at the top with the Athenas of Claremont-Mudd-Scripps at 11-2, along with Cal-Lou at 11-2. The problem is those two teams have split the regular season. So this is going to come down to some other results. To talk about it and how great a team is, it was 10-15 last year, 4-21 the previous 2 years, to be sitting at 17-5 this year. It's Chanel Murchison, the head coach of the Athenas of Claremont-Mudd-Scripps. Coach, great to see you. Congratulations. This is spectacular.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you finding time, especially on the West Coast there where things are a little bit different. And I mean that kindly. I've been out there. Listen, again, 4-21 for 2 seasons, then 10-15, now 17-5. Doesn't matter if you've been there 1 year or 10 years or 20. For any coach, this is a tremendous move. You've been there for 6. You've worked this program through it.
Yeah. Transitions are hard, and a few transitions throughout my time here. This is my 7th year with the school, but obviously we sat out the whole COVID year. And so my first season, I got the season under my belt, and then we sat at home for a year, and then just navigating the recruiting. Obviously, we talked a bit about this off air, from the East Coast coming to the West Coast, learning where all the talent was on the West Coast, as well as nationally, continuing to build our brand and restructure our culture under my tutelage. And so, that's part of the transition. I have great mentors in my space that help me understand that, the hard seasons are part of the process. But what makes the seasons are your players. And I think we've done a tremendous job of getting the right players in, and then just navigating the hard parts of growth for both me personally as well as professionally in our program as well.
Yeah, interesting enough, this is a program that went essentially 7 straight years with 20 wins. Your first year, 19-8. I'm just rounding up for simplicity. And so it was a program that was synonymous with the top of the conference, going 16-0 at one point in 2014-15, a program 15-1 a couple of years. So this was a program we expected to be at the top. It does feel like COVID just kind of derailed everything. You come out of it 10-16, then 4-20 a couple of years, then 10-15. That's got to take its toll after a while.
Yeah, that during the COVID year, we graduated 4 of our 5 starters. And then coming out of that, only 2 players returning had played more than 10 minutes a game prior to that year. And so we were working with a split in terms of age, but also the on-court experience, it wasn't there. And so learning that within the condensed nature of a Division III program is difficult. And so, October 15th was the start date. They've expanded that where we have some dates that we can work with now. But when October 15th is your start date, and that's the only time you can get on court and get moving, and then you have 2 weeks before you're playing games, there's a lot of growing that has to happen in the first portion of the game season. And so that's all that was. But again, great kids that wanted to compete. And if you look at the margins in our conference, I mean, man, the games are close most of the time, overtime, really pushing the medal in terms of night in, night out. We typically celebrate our win and then go look at the scores, because it's like nothing is guaranteed. And so, I think that's something to look at too. In those tough years with those 4 wins, if you're looking at the scores themselves, we were competing, just couldn't turn the corner. And a lot of that had to do with experience. And we've been lucky to get old. We've been lucky to, get some grad transfers that have helped us with that experience, not just on the court, but just helping younger players understand what it takes, the length of the season, the everyday grind type things. So that's been a part of the process. And the SCIAC, I mean, you see it. While right now we're at the top two, the next four are in the hunt for the tournament, and anything can happen in these 3 games. And not a lot of conferences have that, where you get down to the last couple weeks and you're just doing a dance, and we'll see who ends up there.
No, you got it right there. Definitely doing a dance. This is a team kind of like the WPI squad I just talked to, where statistically nothing jumps out, right? There isn't something like, oh my God, they're out rebounding their opponents by 15, or they're outscoring their opponents by 50 or something insane. You do have 4 double-digit scorers who've played pretty much everything. You've got a handful of other players you are relying on consistently. You are outscoring your opponents. That's the good news, by almost 11 points. Shooting 39% and 30% from deep. Out rebounding your opponents by 1.5. So the same question I asked Chris Bartley. What's stirring the drink with this team?
Their chemistry. They love playing with each other. They compete with each other daily. I think that's a really important facet, is that, and they leave it all inside the lines when it comes to that. They want to see each other get better. They want to see each other succeed. And they're competing on a daily basis. And, knock on wood, we've stayed healthy. And that's been something that's been hard for our teams in the past years. We've had a lot of injuries, and just, again, to go off of that COVID year, like, people took a lot of reps early in their careers that ended up slowing them down later in their careers. And so we're at a state right now where we're feeling pretty healthy. We have, we're able to run practice with, subs too. And so that matters. But their chemistry on the court, their want to win, and their vision and mission has been locked in since the start of school, and since the end of last year. And so it's been really, really fun as a coach to be a part of their process.
To a point you made earlier about the 4-win seasons, you're 17-5 this year. Those 5 losses, 6 points to a 500 Case Western squad, 4 points to a pretty decent Hamline squad. Hardin Simmons, who's having a good season, you take them to overtime, lose by 4. Pomona Pitts are, obviously in conference throughout the books, but they're still 13-8, and you lose by 4. And then Cal-Lou in overtime, 7 in a battle for the top of the conference. You already beaten Cal-Lou early in the year. To the point, you're in these games. A couple of bounces either way. This is a 17-5 season that's 20-2.
Yeah.
But how do you keep that from building? Because you have lost 3 of your last 4. How do you keep those tight ones from building into something else? How do you keep positive momentum coming out of those?
Yeah, I think we've been really focused on our process in this. Our motto for the year is stay hungry, stay together. And so that's really driven them to make sure that they're not defined by any one moment, any one game, and the work just continues. And so they find each other when it feels hard. They find each other when it feels good, and they keep working. And I think that's been the key facet. Knock on wood, but we haven't stacked any losses. And so in the sense of more than one in a row. And so it's really them locking into, what a bigger goal may look like, but staying present in what needs to happen right now.
You've got an interesting trio of games ahead. You've got Occidental, who at 10-10 is probably better than that record indicates, and at home. And then it's Pomona and Redlands on the road. And just looking at standings and stuff, that Pomona game could mean a lot in terms of tiebreakers. And then Redlands looming on the other side. That's a lot of pressure in these final 3 if you guys want to be number 1 or at least at the top 2 in this conference.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think it goes back to just, making sure that we stay present in the right now. Yes, important games. Acknowledging that is huge. Like, hey, these are important games. We need to win. We want to win. but also understanding that the top 5 teams in our conference make the conference tournament, and then it's a new ball game once we get to tournament play. And so, at the end of the day, we're gonna come out, we're gonna compete. I have no doubt in my mind about what our players are capable of, but also keeping our mindset on the things again that we've set in terms of the tournament. Top 5 go to the tournament, and after that, it's win or go home. And so while you want to set yourself up for the best thing possible in terms of being able to host and be a higher seed in that tournament, again, part of being in the SCIAC is that if you go back and count on your hands in the last few years, the number 1 seed and then who comes out to go to the tournament, it gets a little bit fun, for lack of better words.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. By the way, Redlands will obviously be a bit of a trip, but the toughest trip I see on your schedule remaining is that Pomona-Pitzer game. That is going to be, you guys have got to dedicate a lot of time there to walk across the street, right?
Yeah, it's something. It is something. I always joke with the players that sometimes I'm going to get the school vans and just come and pick them up and then loop them around the block just so that they make sure they get the feeling of this is a road game. We're going on the road. Don't
go stop at a restaurant on the way home.
Exactly.
By the way, do you guys literally go and use their locker room to change and all that, or use your own locker room and literally walk across for the game?
We'll get ready here in terms of them putting on their uniforms, but yeah, you
use the locker room for what you need, but you'll get ready in your own locker though. You don't necessarily need their locker room to get ready.
No, not necessarily. Put their kicks on, in whatever their kind of mode is for pregame. But yeah, it's you'd be surprised though. Most of them put for all of our games in league because the schools are all kind of close. They're typically basically just putting their shoes on at most of the institutions. Yeah, but yes, there's a get ready in our locker room, head over, and then tie up the laces and probably hit the court.
Quickly about your background before we let you go. You're at a school, Claremont-Mudd-Scripps. It's 3 schools. Technically, there's also Claremont Graduate School, which Edwards and Strenk are part of. So you got Claremont-McKenna, Harvey-Mudd. You got multiple institutions here. You went to a school with multiple names, but it was one institution, William and Mary. I'm just kind of curious, your perspective first on just this setup of recruiting to an athletics department, but really recruiting to multiple institutions to see if they like one of them.
Sure. Yeah, I think it's great in the sense that we're in a place where we can say one, recruits and prospects are maybe looking at one institution and haven't even envisioned what the idea of having the option of others, or they have no idea about the schools in general. And so we get to kind of say, hey, look at these options, and the opportunity to attend more than one is there, and finding your best fit academically while also getting to come together as one athletics team makes for kind of a fun and different recruiting process. Sometimes, each school has their own admissions team, admission standards, student affairs. So that's a hurdle in itself. But at the same time, it does allow us to explore, athletes' academic interests beyond just one concrete space.
You did graduate from William and Mary in Virginia, by the way, one of the more beautiful campuses, and you walk straight into Williamsburg. Talk about outstanding. Yes. Always been jealous when I visit Williamsburg on that setup. But that's a D1 mid-major, right, in the CAA. You play competitive basketball. That is always a competitive conference. Yep. You then went off to John Carroll in Ohio to get a GA and then some assistant experience. Went back to William and Mary from assistant coaching and recruiting and all that. Seemingly, that's the route, right? Every time I've seen that, the person stays in D1. You're back in D3, and you're on the other side of the coast now. Tell me a little bit about what it intrigued you about going to LA, other than it's obviously a head coaching opportunity. But you've been there 6 years now, Chanel. To some degree, it feels like you kind of are liking this D3 thing.
I love the D3, atmosphere, model, environment. I very much love the opportunity to be immersed in a campus experience beyond just athletics. My D1 experiences, both as a coach and as a player, were amazing, and I wouldn't trade them for anything. But also, from a coaching perspective, the D3 model is about balance. And I think, from a coaching perspective, it also gives me that. I have a family, I have 2 children, and that's not to say that you can't have a family at any other level. But at the same time, I've been blessed with the opportunity to be to have my children with me through this process, to, go through the pregnancies. I got married while I've been here. So a lot of my life starting has been here with CMS Athletics at Claremont-McKenna College, and in LA, and so in Claremont, California. But it has a very similar feel to Williamsburg, where it has that kind of small town feel, and the community is just amazing. And so it's been a good fit for us in terms of my family. It's been a good fit for me professionally. And, I've always known that we could be successful here. And I've seen, obviously, historically they've been successful here. And so it's just been part of my journey to continue to be here and work hard and see what we can accomplish. And that's it.
No, I get it. No, it's great. It's fascinating to hear that. The balance for student athletes, but the balance for coaches. I think we've heard that today a little bit too. Meg Barber at NYU. I mean, evenings are off because they're practicing the afternoons because that's what the student athlete requires. So she gets a little bit of a work-life balance from that. Mike McGrath at Chicago, and others. So yeah, great perspective on that, Chanel. I really appreciate that. Gotta let you go, but thank you for the time. Good luck the rest of the way, especially the walk over there to Pomona to play that game. That's going to be a haul. You got to be careful there.
Yeah. I got to really pack up early for that.
Yeah,
one.
Exactly. Get the right shoes on. And also keep enjoying that view, the gorgeous view of the mountains from your vantage point. We always have a tradition on this show. We give the guests the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those who may be tuned in today?
No, I want to say congratulations to Meg Barber, another William & Mary connection. I played with her underneath her as an assistant.
That's right. Years, so. I forgot about that. Yes.
It was full. I'm surprised I didn't get asked about it.
I don't know how I forgot it. Hold on. Stop the press. All right. You played for Meg. Quick. What was it like?
Great. The things they're doing, are very in line with how we got coached. Defense was a big strand of, and a big part of her role. She worked with the post as well. And so, I spend a lot of time with Coach Barber. I've elevated and be able to call her Meg.
Yes, you have.
But no, yeah, it was, definitely seeing some of those threads in terms of playing underneath her as a player and coach. And so, so full circle show.
Yeah, I totally forgot you had been an associate head coach there. I get so rooted that she's in D3 NYU back at her alma mater that I completely blank on the WNL or W&M connection. Yeah. Wild. This show just came together strangely today.
There you go.
Well done, Chanel, for reminding us of that. But your final thoughts too.
No, I just appreciate it. I'm looking forward to what the Athenas have in store. 3 more games. And, if you don't watch Sky basketball, come watch some of it because it's exciting.
No, it is. And we've gotten to certainly appreciate it more and more as we've seen teams out in Vegas at the D3Hoops.com Classic. You've got a dandy of a conference there. There are some really good teams on both the men's and women's side. It is fun to watch. Maybe multiple teams in the tournament. I looked at the MPI numbers. You're sitting 55. That's not, It's not shabby, Chanel. You got to do a little bit of work, though.
We're going to keep working.
There you go.
Things to be accomplished.
Well, thanks for your time. Take care of yourself.
Thanks.
Good luck the rest of the season. I look forward to having you on the show again in the future.
Oh, definitely. I'll be there.
Awesome. Chanel Murchison joining us here on the Hoopsville Hotline. What a chat. Totally forgot about the Meg Barber connection at William & Mary. It's one of those because, again, Meg's on at NYU. I've blanked on the history at this juncture. Oh, what? I totally forgot she would have coached Chanel. Yeah, that's wild. All right, we got to figure out what Union's got in store for us. There's got to be a connection. They're coming up next here on Hoopsville. Thanks for tuning in. We'll answer some of your questions on the back end as well. Plenty more ahead on this jam-packed show.
Coach of the Year. Administrator of the Year, All-America Team, Wade Trophy. The WBCA doesn't just honor coaches, but players, administrators, and much more. The WBCA strives to honor those who have contributed to the advancement of women's basketball. Celebrate the present, honor the past, look to the future.
For the love of the game, but for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that, a lot more.
Sure, the game is important, but as we work so hard to build both mind and body, it's more about team.
That is why NCAA Division III teamed up with Special Olympics, and in giving the gift of sport to those for whom it seemed an impossible dream, we are working to make this a better world.
Help us keep that dream alive.
You can make a difference.
Something I discovered in myself is that if I have a goal, and I can accomplish it.
It's a well-rounded experience.
At a Division III school, you primarily a student athlete, so the school is really shaped around you developing yourself as a complete individual.
It helps a lot that you have a family with your team that can guide you.
The National Association of Basketball Coaches is the nation's premier professional development and advocacy organization for basketball coaches at every level. The NABC strives to serve as the voice for coaches on national issues while advancing the core value of leadership, service, advocacy, education, and inclusion. To learn more about the NABC and to become a member, visit NABC.com and follow the NABC on social media at NABC 1927. That's NABC.com or NABC 1927 on social media.
I believe sportsmanship is a mutual admiration and respect for your fellow competitors. We all go through a lot to reach the point where we compete against one another. It's important to realize that. So once we're finally on the field or on the court or on the starting block, we look at each other as fellow human beings and not just competitors. Being able to recognize the hard work that other athletes are putting in creates a more positive and inclusive environment.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, and more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
Coach of the Year, Administrator of the Year, All-America Team, Wade Trophy. The WBCA doesn't just honor coaches, but players, administrators, and much more. The WBCA strives to honor those who have contributed to the advancement of women's basketball. Celebrate the present, honor the past, look to the future.
For the love of the game, but for those of us who are Division III student athletes, it's more than that, a lot more.
Sure. Cutting that out off. You've seen it enough times. Welcome back to Hoopsville. I'm your host, Dave McHugh. Still ahead, we will wrap up the show with some news and notes. Reminder, Top 25 Double Take show ahead tonight for Buy Me a Coffee Hoopsville members. If you're not one, buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville. QR code in the corner. When we get to the interview, QR code will be in that corner. And more information at the top of your screen. That show is at 8:30 Eastern time, also my ballot. And I am going to apologize now to Hoopsville members. I've got half my ballot written for last week for all of you to read, and then the week got the best of me. I will get that done. You'll get the next one too. You'll get them all. You'll get my thoughts based on when I voted, not post. And we'll go from there. All right. We're talking to a bunch of teams that are just breaking out this season, and Union women's basketball certainly part of that conversation. 16-5, 12-2 in conference play. They are tied for the second best conference mark in program history in the Liberty at 12-2. They have a 4-game winning streak and win over William Smith. I'll speak here, and Skidmore of the most recent. But they got 4 on the road coming up. This is I find fascinating. Vassar, Bard, Clarkson, St. Lawrence. Somebody's got to go check how you put schedules together. But I digress. To talk about it, talk about her team, talk about what's ahead, talk about the breakout as it were. Joining us on the Hoopsville hotline, if I can get my system to work. There we go. Katie Marcella joins us to chat all about it. Coach, great to see you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, please. Absolutely. Thanks for the time. We should point out the men are having a tremendous season as well at 17-4. There's got to, which is an improvement already on last year's team, and we're used to the miraculous shots from the men's side. You all are just doing it with hard work, but it's got to be an amazing atmosphere on campus to go along with what I know is an amazing atmosphere in winter sports with the ice hockey programs.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's helpful that, Coach Murphy is great to work alongside. So him being an alum and having the inside scoop on that perspective is great. And the thrillers on the men's side aren't as much as last year, but I think Coach Murphy is appreciating this run just as much, if not more, this year.
Yeah, most certainly. And it just makes it fun to talk union sports. You've been there now, your 5th season, so you've seen this program grow. This is a team that kind of yo-yoed, but usually was in the teens for wins, kind of hit the skids a little bit, but always double digits. What's it like to now be at 16-5, now be at 12-2, which is the best mark since 08-09 in conference play, and to have this program at this juncture sitting at the top of the conference standings with RIT?
Yeah, I mean, this is what hopefully the hard work has paid off, and kind of the message and the mission through the recruiting process of this is where we're trying to get through. Just making the Liberty Leagues isn't enough, and it wasn't something they were doing consistently as much as they had in the past before I'd gotten here. So, getting that back on the map was priority number 1. And then, we were always competing, and then quarterfinal, semifinal game, and just trying to figure out how we can get past that hump. And that's still going to be obviously the goal for this year. But, the message has been sent through the team through the last 4 years. And I think they've really bought into that process.
And this is also, it's officially your program, right? Like there's no holdovers from other programs, no one who was recruited by a different coach. It truly is now your program with the players you want to play in your style. And that's got to bring along with it a comfort level.
Yeah, we just celebrated senior day on Saturday, and we had our get together, our team dinner after with the families and the parents, and we kind of talk about it as my OG group, Yelena and the Graces, and then Kate and Cesaretti, who are the transfers in, they're the OGs. They're my first group with Yelena and Grace Ardito and Grace Arcolio. So we kind of talked about how special that was, and that we are here. And so the message through the recruiting process was sent, and like I said, they're buying in, and it's proof kind of in the pudding per se. So it's an exciting time.
Again, some highlights. Best 21 game start since that 04-05 season. Best mark in the conference, as we mentioned, second best after 14 games that you guys have done. You've been in the postseason with yourself. You talked about the importance of kind of bringing that back in. You're in first place with RIT, but you got the tiebreaker because you beat them both times. So essentially you're sitting in first place and want to stay there. I'm going to talk about some of the other nitty gritty in a minute, but the locker room has got to feel confident.
I think we do, finally at the end of the game, but we have had this thing where we're making every game kind of interesting. So, the locker room is definitely fun. We just keep talking about the future and talking about what needs to be done. Maybe not what just happened. Yes, celebrating it, but the work is not done yet, and exciting times for sure. But we still have a lot of work and a lot of discipline that we need to focus on to get where we need to get to, because, everyone at this point in the year should be playing close to, if not their best basketball. And looking around the league, and those teams that are at the top, especially RIT, they're really putting the foot on the gas. And you can just tell just by looking at their stats and not even just watching them on film that they're playing their best basketball. So we've just got to lock in, more 30, 40-minute games and not 20-minute games.
Well, it's interesting because Steve Sheridan shared this fascinating stat. He says teams outscoring opponents by 140 points in the third period this year, including 25-2 against William Smith on Saturday. I'm guessing, going out on a limb, if we could stop the game right there after the third quarter, you'd be thrilled. We don't need to play the fourth.
Yeah, agreed. And I kind of always say, depending on whose ball it is to start the fourth, and I'm always like, okay, score, stop, score, or stop, score, stop. And when we don't get the one that we want first, I'm always just a little bit nervous because we like to make it real interesting in the last 3 minutes lately. But yeah, the third quarter has been the quarter for us, which has been nice because historically in the past, I call it the third quarter slide. That's been our worst quarter. So, having that momentum going into the fourth, I think is really helpful.
I'm just looking back at that William and Smith game. They outscored you in the fourth 20-17, and Skidmore the game before 21-15. So yeah, you want to finish strong, right? So I'm guessing when you're all talking in practice in the locker room now, it is about playing the full 40 and finishing strong. How do you work towards that?
I think, it's just the more that we're challenged, the better, which I don't totally love that about us. I'd love us to just go out and execute and not have to worry about that. But it's like this team needs more of a challenge than just kind of an easy ride, which, is what it is. But I can't imagine, and I've told this to the team, and I know that's kind of been the talk a little bit, is I can't imagine if this team would play 30, 40 minutes a game, what they could be capable of. So, hopefully they can just continue to buy in, knowing that we're on the road for the next 4 games. No game is easy, especially in the Liberty League, but no game is easy on the road. So hopefully we can lock in to that factor and know that, between us and RIT, we're the top of the conference and everybody's going to want to get us, and we're going to probably see 2 senior days on the road in the last 2 weeks. So those are always special games for the opponents. So we've got to come in locked in and ready to go.
You started the same 5 every game this year. 4 of them are seniors. One's a sophomore. 2 of those seniors I find fascinating. You have Grace Keseretti, who is from Barrington, Rhode Island, went to Northfield Mount Hermon, which was a nice prep school in Massachusetts. She was at UMBC for a while, which is down in my neck of the woods. I work for Towson, so UMBC is the enemy. Not even in conference. I just like to make that up. The other one that jumps out at me is Kate Peak. An irony, we've seemed to have lots of connections to NYU today. She was at NYU. She transferred midseason in 24-25 after spending a couple of years at Fairfield Academy prior to that. She went to Millbrook, a Poughkeepsie, New York native. I can kind of see the tie there, maybe. But tell me a little bit about those 2 coming into this program as transfers from 2 similar yet kind of different paths.
Yeah, Grace Keseretti, she came and new coaching staff. I think it was going to be down at UMBC, but I think the biggest piece for her was the academic piece. She wanted to be an engineer. I think it was, thinking back to our conversations, I think she wanted to be chemical. And then she got on the phone with one of our volunteer assistants, who's also an alum of the program, Amy Loya. And she talked on the phone with her for a while, and she was like, you want to be a biomedical engineer. So it was a lot of an academic piece of things that I think really had the good fit for Grace, who we call Says, because we have 3 Graces on the team. And then in turn, it just worked out really well. I think, I believe one of her sisters may have toured campus, one of her older sisters, when Mary Ellen Burt and Jared were here. So she kind of had a little bit of an understanding of the league and the campus. So she came on the visit. She knew a couple of the girls on the team and had a great experience. It poured, I'm pretty sure, on the day she was here. So I'm just glad she had a good experience. And so that's kind of her journey, but I think a lot of it was more academic than anything. And then Kate, yeah, I guess that is the Meg Barber tie for everybody that you're talking to today. I forgot about that. Kate was at Fairfield, had a pretty good freshman year. New coach kind of came in, and then I think the transfer portal a little bit, but went over to NYU and, obviously knew that she could have been a part of a national championship team, but really wanted to see probably more consistent minutes in her career. And her tie is her dad is an alum of Union and played football, and also played football with our athletic director. So
that's a slam dunk. Okay, that makes some sense. By the way, by way of Millbrook School, which I know well from my Salisbury days, they're in Eastern New York, right near the Connecticut border. I'd love to know Kate Peak's perspective again, as you point out, national championship, this miraculous streak she's on. But Katie, to the point of Division III, it's more than that. It's more than the sport, right? Like, these are two examples where it was about the academics, and you've got plenty of other players, including two other seniors, well, more than two, but two that you're starting, where it means more than that. There's something more, and Union brings that.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of Division III. These kids aren't coming here and playing for any money from an athletic perspective. As much as I have to sell, I really have to sell myself, right? Like, Union's going to sell itself academically, and the uniqueness of it being the private liberal arts with engineering. It's just a unique atmosphere with us being able to offer that and being surrounded by more than just engineers and having bio majors and psychology majors and economics, but also having your civil and mechanical and biomedical engineers. Also, it's a really cool opportunity for our student athletes. But the biggest thing is they know that they're going to get a great education, and then it's my job to sell UCWB and to sell Katie, Marcella, and the coaching staff. But yeah, I think a lot of the students here and the student athletes are choosing Union, yes, because of basketball, but most of it is because of the academic piece and what they're going to go out and be in the future.
By the way, you have a fascinating path yourself. You're a SUNY Brockport grad, 07. You're from Schenectady, where you were a standout in high school. After Brockport, you clearly decided to spread your wings, golden eagle pun intended. You headed to Monmouth in Illinois and spent some time at Keuka, where you became a head coach. Then you decided, no, you know what? Upstate New York is where I want to be. You jumped back to Hartwick, where you had to climb a hill multiple times a day. I know Hartwick well. I nearly went there myself. And then you end up at Union. I'm curious about that circuitous path that clearly brought you back home to the capital region. But what was it about Monmouth and Keuka and then ultimately Hartwick that helped you grow and get you to where you are at Union?
Sure. Keuka was my first opportunity. So I'll always be grateful for that opportunity. I actually got the job there, and I was the head men's and women's cross country coach and the assistant basketball coach, and then climbed the ladder to slowly making my way out of coaching cross country, and then just focusing on basketball. But little fun fact, I was not anymore, was a better runner than I was a basketball player. I just loved basketball far more than the running side of things. And then, I got the opportunity at Monmouth, and it was literally in the middle of nowhere, but what a great campus and what a great atmosphere in the Midwest that they have about athletics. And then Hartwick opened in I never thought I would live like 4 miles from my family, but 17 hours was a little far, but 4 miles, is actually fantastic when your parents are retired and you have 2 children. So, shout out to my family for all that they do for
babysitting.
Us, yeah, exactly. It opened and I got the opportunity. And the one thing I could have said is that every step I've made, I felt like I made a professional step, whether it was from a basketball perspective to a conference perspective to an academic perspective. And, same with the Union move. I was at Hartwick, had a great time there and a great experience. And this job opened up, and obviously back home, and I was living here. So I was commuting to Hartwick for about an hour. And so I put my name in the hat, and I knew that the Liberty League was better academically, and from a basketball perspective. So it just made a lot of sense. So here I am. And now it doesn't make a ton of sense to leave, right?
No, it doesn't. Not at all. Not at Union. Great campus, great place. Certainly makes a lot of sense. And 4 miles ain't bad in any way, shape, or form. Quick note, you mentioned the cross-country connection. You got to connect with Slicner, the senior at WNL, because she was going to go D1 cross-country before coming to play basketball at WNL, and now everybody in D3 is wishing she had ran cross-country at D1.
I guess, yeah. I mean, I had an offer actually from Marist when I was in high school, but I really wanted to play basketball, and I went to one practice at Brockport for track, and we did lunges for like 2 hours straight, and I was like, I'm good. I don't know. I was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm going to stick with, spring basketball and playing pickup with my friends and my teammates. So, a little bit of regret, but maybe like 10%. That's about it.
By the way, I like how you also chose Brockport. So you're like, I'm going to go to the other side of the state, if you don't mind. I'm going to go enjoy a little bit more snow than we already are getting here in the capital region. Fascinating. And listen, the season obviously is not done. This is the tough part I hinted at the beginning. You have 4 on the road: Vassar, Bard, Clarkson, St. Lawrence. So you're going to have to hit the road. Yes, Bard's 3-19 and only 1 win in conference. Yes, Clarkson's 9-12, 5-9. St. Lawrence, ain't bad at 14-7, 9-5. And you certainly can't overlook Vassar at 10-11, 9-5. So you got this mixed bag. All on the road, though. This is going to be a little bit of kind of weather in the storm, but to some degree, you got to keep winning out, right? If you want to be in a good position for the conference tournament and NCAA hopes.
Yeah, I mean, I think I try not to pay too much attention to the standings. Obviously, I know where we're at, but we probably need to win 2 to 3 out of 4 of those to hopefully at least get us 1 or 2. Like seed 1 or 2, and then hopefully get that bye into the semifinals and host a semifinal game. But, whatever happens is going to happen. And if we come disciplined and ready to play, we could have a nice next 2 weekends, I think. But it's always hard going on the road, as you just mentioned, and it's always really hard going on the road and going up to the North Country, 4 hours and then playing, and then again, you kind of assume looking at records that games could be what they are, but you just never know, and that's why you play the game, and that's why there's upsets every day. So hopefully we're just not on that side of one.
Yeah, I hear you. And by the way, I love New York State. In New York City, anything north is considered upstate. You get to the Albany region and you're like, no. Let me tell you what's north. You haven't even tip of the iceberg. Vassar's in Poughkeepsie, Bard for anybody out there, Annandale on the Hudson. So, not a bad place. But Clarkson's near Lake Placid in Potsdam area, and St. Lawrence, well, yeah, that's all the way up there. Well, good luck the rest of the way for sure. And I appreciate the time. Congrats on the season. By the way, quick note, Vassar, you guys you lost to him by 2 in mid-January. I'm assuming that's kind of in your minds as you go into that one. Can you take that game and use it for this, or do you have to take it from a whole new perspective because so much time's gone by?
No, I mean, I think that we watched a lot of it when we played them the first time, and rehashed on some of those errors and mistakes and some of the things that we did really well to start the game. But watching the film already this morning on Monday, it's definitely still going to help us because, both of us have changed a little bit, but I think the game plan is relatively still the same. And we just have to, our biggest thing is we've got to stay disciplined when things aren't going our way. Game of runs, and who are we when the run isn't on our side?
Well, good luck. 4 on the road, all, as you said, most of the North Country. Obviously a lot on the line, but great season nonetheless. Tremendous. Congratulations on that and what you're building there. Appreciate the time. We have a tradition on the show, though. We always give the guest the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those tuned in?
Yeah, just want to say thank you for all that you do and having us on today, and really appreciate it. And good luck to everybody out there in wrapping up the season. Hopefully everyone can stay healthy. And
you don't have any NYU or ties to Meg, right? I didn't miss any.
It's just Kate Peak, I guess.
Just Kate.
I guess we still all have one to NYU, but
everyone's got a tie. Yeah, everyone's got a tie. Hey, thank you, Katie, for your time. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Like I said, take care, and we'll look forward to catching up with you down the road.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Katie Marcella joining us here on the Hoopsville Hotline. Appreciate her time. Great conversation up there with Union. Both programs playing really well. Keep an eye on that Liberty League race on both sides, because I think it's going to be one of those fascinating ones that maybe plays a role in some NCAA stuff. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll put a button on this show, wrap up some things, talk about Buy Me a Coffee, and talk about these packages behind me. You're listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3 Hoops from the WBCA Studios.
We've got more schools than Division I, more fans than Division II, more upsets than March Madness. There's nearly 850 programs with over 11,000 games leading to 2 national championships. And we've been covering it all for over 2 decades. From Eastern to Occidental, from Puget Sound to Piedmont, from Southwestern to the University of New England, and from Hope to Calvin. Nobody covers Division III basketball like we do. We're D3Hoops.com at www.d3hoops.com.
The National Association of Basketball Coaches is the nation's premier professional development and advocacy organization for basketball coaches at every level. The NABC strives to serve as the voice for coaches on national issues while advancing the core value of leadership, service, advocacy, education, and inclusion. To learn more about the NABC and to become a member, visit nabc.com and follow the NABC on social media at NABC1927. That's nabc.com or NABC1927 on social media.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
In any way that we can.
To get a friend home safe.
To never blame the victim.
It's on us.
To stand up.
To make our community safe for all.
It's on us.
It's on us to look out for each other at parties.
It's on us.
To be more than just a bystander.
To step up and say something.
It's on us, all of us.
To stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
If I lose, I'll respond with respect.
If I win, I'll back it up with humility.
If I fail, I'll rise up with honor. It's tough for us to put it all on the line.
Don't undo my hard work with poor sportsmanship.
Respect. It's the name of the game.
Coach of the Year, Administrator of the Year, All-America Team, Wade Trophy. The WBCA doesn't just honor coaches, but players, administrators, and much more. The WBCA strives to honor those who have contributed to the advancement of women's basketball. Celebrate the present, honor the past, look to the future.
I used to never really talk. Ever. I was afraid if I said something wrong, everyone would laugh at me. But then I started to play golf with Special Olympics. It helped me to find my voice. And now everyone else is speechless.
Welcome back to Hoopsville. Lost track of time there. got questions for us, we can wrap up the show here with them at D3 Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville. Email us hoopsville@d3sports.com or join us on the live stream where Dice Canton's been watching the show. He talked about Kate Peak and her time at Fairfield. Also, we're going to talk about these packages hiding back here and another one in just a moment. Reminder, buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville. It auto tweets when someone supports us, and I just realized it's sending out email addresses, and I don't like that. So we're going to maybe have to adjust the settings on that. Maybe it won't auto tweet, but I want to thank a coffee that was bought for us during the show. Speaking of which, I'm not sure. So you can do it two ways at buymeacoffee.com. You can either, I'm going to put this up on the screen. Bear with me here a second. You can either send us just a donation, which is buying us a cup of coffee, or you can go below that and go to our membership pages. So let's just take a quick peek. This is what it looks like. This is the website for Buy Me a Coffee. Here's the Buy a Hoopsville coffee section, and you can say something about it. And we'll talk about that in a minute. And one coffee is $5, 3 coffees is $15. You can put in your own. You can make that a monthly donation. But down below it is become a member, and this is where you get the Hoopsville fan, role player, starting 5. We just changed the price on the starting 5. Also on the coaching staff, we just changed those prices, and you can see these posts here, like the top 25 show and whatnot. So our most recent post is right here. And thank you for highlighting the extraordinary high academics at programs like Claremont-Mudd-Scripps and Chicago and NYU. I understand that Mudd is a smaller school equivalent to MIT. Absolutely. Very much so. And so I appreciate your support of us. So this is how you do it. Come to buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville. Again, just go to the website. We've got the QR code sitting here in the corner, and take advantage of that. The donations is great. Really appreciate that. I would say if you're going to make a note, put maybe your first name on there so we don't have the email address popping up. And again, if you are a member of Role Player or higher, you're going to have access to the Top 25 show today. Tonight's show at 8:30 will feature Ryan Scott and Matt Snyder on the men's side. Ryan will stay around for women and join Scott Peterson to do that. We have our dubious, our deep dive, and our debatable selections. I'll be curious what the guys come up with on those. It is getting harder. So at this point, we're probably going to have to let the shackles loose a little bit on reusing some teams if it's in an appropriate way of doing it. We'll see how much the guys are struggling with that. Quick note, Pat Coleman was in Pittsburgh for that game against Carnegie Mellon for NYU women that Meg pointed out earlier. And that's where we got our video earlier today. Appreciate that. There's a whole part on d3hoops.com about that win, including more audio and reactions and obviously Pat's perspective on what happened there. We weren't able to turn more around for today's show because it was just such a jam-packed show. But they're working their way. Next goal is 90. They'll do that. I think it's 3 games in the NCAA tournament if they stay undefeated, which would mean winning the Sweet 16 and getting to the Elite 8 would tie the record with with UConn, and breaking it would mean clinching, I think, if I have this right, clinching another Final Four berth. 101 would mean a 3rd national championship in a row undefeated. That's never been done. So that would be significant in that realm. And then at that point, they'd be 9 wins away from that record for UConn. So I'm not saying it's within touch because who knows how this season finishes. But I'm going to say this. This NYU team loses Charline Peper, which is significant. Do not get me wrong. But that's it. So if they get through this year, win a 3rd national championship, and are still undefeated, breaking the UConn record, I think, is well within their grasp next season. Will it happen? I don't know. There's a lot to get between now and then before we know for sure. But think about it. If they get through this season unscathed, win a 3rd national championship, that will mean, I think unofficially, if they break the record in the tie the record in Sweet 16, break it 91, they'd be 93 straight wins if I have my math right. So they're at 82 now. Let me call their record up one more time. Apologies. So they're at 82 wins now. They've got 5 more in conference, so that would take them to 87. To win the national title is 6 more. So that takes you to 91. So I guess, I apologize. So it'd be 10 more. Right? So they're at 90. They're at 82 now. 5 more is 87. You win 6 in the tournament. That takes you to 91. So you'd have to go 10 games next year. And all they do is lose Pepper? All they lose is Pepper? And I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm saying, obviously, Charline Peper is important to this team. She's leading the team at 18.6 points a game. But remember, last year, Charline Peper was not the main player on this team. She was third in the team in scoring. You had Natalie Bruns with 17 points and Bella Pellecchia at Pellecchia. What the heck came out of my mouth there? Bella Pellecchia at 14.5 points a game, and then Charline Peper at 11.8, and that really included kind of the coming out at the end of the season, because she started the season with single points or low double-digit points. Heck, UChicago ended January, she didn't even score. It was the second half of the season where she kind of woke up. She had 29 points against Gettysburg. I think it was 31 somewhere else, but according to this, it's 29. So you fast forward to this year, and Brooke Batchelor, 13.2 points a game as a junior. You have Zahara Alexander as a sophomore at 11.6. And you have Aliyah Kaibara, I hope I say your name right, who's a freshman at 11.4, and Olivia Legao, a freshman at 9.5. You tell me how they will not be unstoppable next year if they get through this year. That UConn record, if NYU wins another national championship undefeated this year, that NYU record of 101 wins is going to be in jeopardy. Think about that. That's how crazy good this program is right now. And we thought the Wash U mark, or those of us who were around it, Mike McGrath pointed that out, was absolutely insane. This is insane. It doesn't mean that NYU is untouchable. Rochester, Emory, Wash U, Chicago, Brandeis could all knock them off by the end of the season. Rochester's 9-11. Brandeis is 12-8. Emory's 13-6. Chicago's 14-5, and Wash U's 16-4. Wash U's in second place in that conference by 2 games. Any one of the next 5 could knock them off. And then you go into the NCAA tournament, and who knows what they're going to run into. God forbid they run into Carnegie Mellon again. So I'm not saying that they are going to go for that UConn 101 record, that they can get there. I'm not saying that. I'm saying if they get through this season and win another title undefeated, that 101 is well within striking distance at that point. It's not right now. 90 is going to be a challenge. All right, let's talk about the packages behind us. We've talked about it, and I promised videos last week, but the schedule got the best of me. We've already received some schools that have sent us some packages. We got 4 here. So we're going to be putting some videos together to release this week of these 4. These are institutions that have sent us something. I don't know what they've sent us. I only have the package. And there's another one I know is on its way that I've not received yet. So we will do videos, as we did recently, showing what we got and reacting to it. WNL's Mama Slicner, who I still have to email, I apologize, sent us a great shirt. We have not worn it yet because I got an email. We got 4 more to undo. We actually have a 5th already in-house. I'm going to give it a little sneak peek. Let's see. How far can I go without giving this away? Here, let's do this. So we have a lot of retro jerseys. None of them are hanging right now. We will get a couple more hung up. Maybe next show we'll get all our retros up. Programs that are closed or changed names. There's my hint. There's my hint. Okay. This is what I got coming. We're going to do a video on this one. Got two jerseys, 1 retro institute. That's enough. 1 retro institution. If you're watching the podcast, yeah, you don't have a clue because you can't see it. But if you're watching online, that's all you get. So we got that to show, plus these 4. We will put these videos together. We probably aren't going to do them in one day, but we'll release them over time. These 4 reacting to what has been sent to us and then eventually putting them up here. Here's the trick. We've run out of hangers. So what we're going to have to do in the meantime is take some of these off their hangers and put other ones on in their place. So be it. You can see a few on the floor down here if you're watching. So be it. But if you can help us, we have an Amazon wish list that is on our show page for all of our show page, almost all of our show pages. At least they're on now. Go there. There's links to a lot of things that we'd like for production, but including the jerseys. Scroll through there. There's one for 1 jersey and there's one for 3 jerseys. The price keeps inching upward, which is really frustrating. These used to be about $20 a pop and they've moved up to 30. But if you don't feel like donating in that way and you want to donate in giving us some help with jerseys, please. And if you want to send us jerseys, email us, hoopsville@d3sports.com. That's hoopsville@d3sports.com. And I will send you the spiel because we have had so many coaches been interested in sending us jerseys, and either I have not been able to get back in touch with them, or I do so at such a late date that it's forgotten about, which is understandable. I'm now making it part of my thank you, and I send just an entire spiel about it, which is part of the reason we're getting more of these. Email us, hoopsville@d3sports.com, or if you know my email address, just send it to that. And we will get you information on how you can send us jerseys. Yeah, we're being a little selfish and a little shameless and whatever, but we want to I want to cover this. I want to change the studio a little bit and cover it with jerseys as much as possible. We're not going to get rid of the shelves. We're not getting rid of the framed jerseys. Greenville, I love you. I'm going to have to make a decision, I think, on the Greenville jersey. We might have to start putting some jerseys up here like these, like the ones on the door and wall, to fit some more in. I love you, Greenville. I love the framing. We will find a way to still showcase it, but we may have to make a decision on that. But these 2 behind us in the center jersey, and which is this one, my right hand, and the Ohio Wesleyan one, those are not going anywhere. The center one was the very first jersey ever sent to us. It meant a ton to us. And so that is framed. I also found out how much framing is, and so we stopped. But that's framed, and it's my number. They asked for my number. So center gets a lot of recognition for that. And the Ohio Wesleyan one, that was a fundraiser, if you might remember, and it's signed. So that one has a special place. So it's not going anywhere. But the rest, again, up for conversation. So there you go. There's our spiel. Hope you've enjoyed the show. We've had some great guests today. UChicago, Eamonn and Mike from UChicago, thanks for coming on. Meg and Pepper Charline from NYU, Chris from WPI, Chanel from Claremont-Mudd-Scripps, and Katie from Union. Thank you all for coming on the show. Thank you to all the sports information directors who helped with this show as well. I want to thank Jeff Bernstein, especially from NYU, for his assistance. We started kind of planning this a little while back, and he helped put it together. Rusty at WPI, who was even giving us some notes during the show. Jeffrey from Claremont-Mudd-Scripps, and especially Steve Sheridan at Union. Thank you all for your assistance. Wonderful help. And great show. Great show. Tonight, 8:30 Eastern time, Top 25 Double Take. Again, for Hoopsville members, so you got to sign up at buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville. Last week's show is available to everybody, by the way. Last week's show is available. We haven't tweeted it out there, but it is available if you want to go dig it up and listen to last week's show. As the new top 25s will come out later this afternoon. I got to go finish my men's poll, in fact. And then this coming Thursday, noon Eastern time, all shows noon Eastern except for the 19th. It's going to be our top 16 show. Got some great segments lined up, but you get to ask questions. Hoopsville@d3sports.com. Hoopsville@d3sports.com. Ask questions of our committee chairs. We will get as many questions as we can asked. We do have the right to edit those or not use them if we so choose. But if you have a question for our committee chairs that's relevant, Hoopsville@d3sports.com will try and get those questions answered for you at our earliest convenience. And I think that's going to wrap it up for us. Appreciate you tuning in, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you listen to the podcast, thanks for watching or listening on the podcast as well. It certainly seems like a popular form, and we appreciate that you are using that as well. So for UChicago, NYU, WPI, CMS, and Union, thank you for tuning in, everybody. Congratulations once again to the NYU women on 82 straight wins. We'll see how much further that can go. And in the meantime, thank you for tuning in. You've been listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com from the WBCA Studios. If you want to talk Division III basketball, you've got to listen to Hoopsville. And we'll be back on the air live noon on Thursday for our general show, and tonight at 8:30 for our Top 25 Double Take. Have a good one. You got to be watching basketball, so make sure to log on to D3Hoops.com as well for all the latest around Division III as we wrap up the final few weeks of the regular season.